Get 'em, Jimmy, where low shack at? The bottles getting nippy up the crack and we stacking chips, all of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated public sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday, February 24th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. Coming off just a disaster night. Victories just snatched from me in the waning moments, in the dying seconds, and it hurt. Bankroll took a blow. And, I'm staring at 2:30 in the morning, just staring, can't sleep, just going over the fucking losses. And I realized, man, this is not healthy. And if I don't succeed, this is not going to be a long, happy life if we're not winning here. It's literally like when I talk about the stakes are high and the importance of our bankroll and everything, I'm not exaggerating when I'm like, this is life or death. We need to succeed. We have to succeed. And it's not been a very good 2023, and 2022 was just so glorious and such a good football season and things like that. So the importance of success today is crucial. We're coming into the 3-year-old thoroughbred season, coming up to the Derby. We've got the live bet stream starting Sunday Night Live. My show's starting on Sundays here every Sunday. And I need a healthy bankroll. I need to be winning. I need to be winning a lot. I need to be sleeping soundly and not stressing. And there was a lot of stress last night. So we have the right cappers, Bobano and Dutch Boy Fresh, joining us today. I want to talk about, how excited I am for San Antonio. I want to talk about, I want to be laughing and having a good time. But I have to win now. I got to succeed. And we need to do that right now. We need to do that here today. So we need to be locked in. NHL, I thought I was, in really nice shape and things turned on me. I've moved on 6 bets today in NHL, and I'm going to have a winning day in NHL. I know I am. And we need the hardwood to follow suit. It was my worst day of the year in college basketball yesterday. And, this just can't happen. It just can't happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to continue happening. But we have to work diligently and smart and thoughtful and not reach. I was reaching a little bit yesterday. And that's it. So, Boban will be joining us here shortly. Fat Wally in the house. NASCAR at Fontana. A half unit on Kyle Busch at 10-1 and a half unit on Harvick at 22-1 to win outright for Fat Wally. There's Andrew G. Says, back to work. I love the Isles NHL play tonight. Yeah, I like the Islanders spot as well. The Kings are in a really tough place. 3rd game in 4 nights, coming off a really tough overtime loss to the Devils. I like Matt Martin on that first line. Look at what Lamoriello does. Lamoriello loses Barzal off that top line. Is he going to put, he already gave up on Kiefer Bellows, but he's not going to put some, sniper first round pick on that first line. He's going to put it's 15-year vet who's going to punch you in the face on that first line. And I don't know why more coaches, general managers don't do that. Matt Martin in the first line now for the Islanders. And I took the Islanders on the -1 line. Lucas Ryan giving a shout out to Fat Wally, liking that spot. J-Dub says, happy Friday, must bounce back for him. I need to bounce back as well. There's serious business. The Nuke Worker wrong. Lofton, Andrew G, Nasty Nate in the house. Paper Chaser, Jay Peasy, ready to get to work. RVD 4-28-2 on NHL, not including 2-0. Got the Canucks plus 600. Nice job. Lee Davis. Yeah, no, I'm just last night was just tough, sitting there at 3 a.m, just staring up in the air, and I was sitting there going, like, if we don't succeed here, there's serious problems. Like, it's just serious. It's gonna especially with all the live streams that we have coming up, the Derby coming up. I need a real healthy bankroll, and it can't take blows like it took last night. It's not. It's become somewhat vulnerable, and so it can't keep taking blows like that. I'm ready to fucking go, man. DC Capper rolling. I love seeing that. A Real Deal Prime cheering for the Ducks. The whole breakdown of me saying, well, Ovechkin's not going to come in and save the day. I don't know why I was still afraid to take the Ducks. And now they've traded Dmitry Orlov. Everything that I said that was going to happen to the Capitals this year and next year will happen. And unfortunately, I'm only going to make about $1,000 off of the futures. But whatever, it's good. My futures are in really healthy shape, even with the rain or the Canucks debacle this year. Rocco Rogers, Devils pulled through for us in a sweat. They did pull through. Slatsy's on Canes first period minus a half at plus 123. I'm on the other side there of the first period. I like the way the Senators have been playing. I like the way the Senators played against Boston. I think there's too much value on the Senators first period. So I'm on the other side there. Paper Chaser is on Panthers Islanders first period minus a half. I hope both cash for you because I'm on the Panthers and Islanders minus 1 full game. There's Guillermo Zertucci in the house as the Sabres game was a boxing match. That was fun to watch. And 6-5 victory. I'm fading them. I love when a team goes all out in the first game of the back-to-back in Florida. I love. We just saw the Ducks do it, right? Ducks go all out, lose 4-3 in overtime to Florida, and then they destroyed in Tampa. Now we're hoping for vice versa here. Mark Kell ready to get to work. Rocco Rogers also liking the Islanders. Christopher Comentini, Nut Flush Allen in the house. Dan Kelly says last night Heritage had live golf top 10 lines. Those lines are gone now. Interesting. So those lines are gone. And North Ender liking the Lakers spot. Southeast Missouri give up 13-point lead, blew a $50 for $650 parlay for Nunya. I hate hearing that. North End says, congrats to everyone who grabbed Lakers to make the playoffs at plus 170. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see them go. There's Foul Hound in the house. It's nice. Then I can try and get a little bit of the anger and stress off my shoulders. Man, Delusional Eats and Foul Hound are going to be rolling in San Antonio, and I can't wait to get there. So shout out to Foul Hound in the house. North Ender, Dan Kelly, Clint Starr, the Die Hard MMA podcast, Banana Boat Float, Sammy Culmer, Stimmy OG, Slatsy. And Slatsy says your breakdown put me on Ducks team total over 2.5 plus 122. Yeah, no, there's two very important elements to what we do, and one is handicapping, and then one is betting, and they really are two different things. And I remember when I was younger, and even like when I was in high school, I'd go to the track with the guys, and I would break down the race. Sit at the table with my friends. I'd break down the race. After about 15 or 20 minutes of me breaking down the race, we'd all go make our bets. And often I wouldn't make the best bet after the information was in. And it was always something that struck with me. And Stimmy OG, 43rd birthday. I figured Stimmy OG was my age because he makes me laugh so hard. I get him. Stimmy OG, happy birthday. What a guy Stimmy OG is. Let me pop that up here at the top. Stimmy OG's birthday, 43. I love it. You're gonna eat my product. I can't wait for that dinner. It's going to be so much fun on Sunday. Dabby Cab talking to us a lot about how fun that dinner is going to be. I'm really excited. And I'll be, coming from the track. So hopefully I'll be pumping my fist. All right. Alfred said, let's get some winners. Just got hit with 10,000 unexpected bills. Yes, let's get some winners here right now. We have just a man for that. And, Clint saying, you put that kind of pressure on yourself, it's going to hurt. I'm not going to loosen up. I'm not gonna loosen up. This shit is too important. Last night hurt too much. This is not fun and games. Our lives are online. So I'm not gonna loosen up. I'm gonna tighten up. It's thankfully, after this show ends here, put in the extra action that we'll add from the show. Then I'll pick up my daughter from school. That's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling. I'll hang out with Ella for a little bit. But tonight, and I'm off the sauce. I've been off the sauce now for a couple weeks. But tonight, just leave me the fuck alone. Lights are gonna be fucking off. Gonna be 3 cameras on with games on. And don't fucking talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't call me. Leave me the fuck alone. I need to win, and I'm gonna get that shit. Shout out to Swiss Horton in the house. There's our guy Razor Sharp Picks. Yes, can cash it. Shirt on. Razor, my man. Brian Watson says Blues brutal. I knew it. I fucking knew it. I knew it. When you're now they had scored a shorthanded goal in the first period, but when you have a power play and you're up 2-0 in the third period and you allow a shorthanded goal, you're fucked. All the momentum gone. The team that scores a shorthanded goal believes, and I knew that was just fucked. I did hedge alive on that, but not enough to save the fucking day. All right. Let's stay focused. Let's find winners. Let's work together to defeat the juice. Welcome your first guest of the show, our star here on Fridays. And Fridays, the only place you can see is NCAA basketball action right here with Betting with the Bag. We're going to start with NHL, then get into NCAA basketball. Then we're going to close with Dutch Boy Fresh and NBA. Please welcome to the show from Canada's black and yellow steel town, Hamilton Strong, Hamilton Pride, Mr. Ian Cameron to the show. Bobano, how are you?
Good to be with you, Jimmy, always on a Friday. Absolutely. And shout out to everyone in the chat already as well.
Let's get to work, my friend, and let's fire away. I was talking to Lee, and I was like, Lee Davis, who's in our chat, I was like, I know I'm going to have a winning night in NHL tonight. I felt like some bounces went away from me. Overall, I feel like I'm seeing things clearly, and I fired already. It's 6 bets, and I want to get to work right now. So
here's the adjustment I made in the NHL. It's not really much of an adjustment other than I just found other ways and pathways and avenues to try to profit. It's really that. It's not really I adjusted my handicapping, but look, at this time of year, it is the absolute grind of grinds to profit with sides and totals in the NHL at this time of year. It's silly season. It's big favorites. It's, it's underdogs that, you've got to take a leap of faith with if you're going to back them, or you back the favorite and lay in, an exorbitant price that you don't want to when they can get picked off any given night if they don't bring it. So betting sides and totals in the NHL this year is tricky. You're going to have bad nights. Okay. It's just going to happen. So my thinking was coming out of the break, it's like, if I stick to mostly sides and totals, it's going to be a struggle. You're going to have some ups, you're going to have some downs. So I said, what can I do to try to maximize profit? And I said, well, let's start handicapping and researching player props even more. Let's dig into those. Let's really, really do a deep dive into player props every day. And sure enough, I've been really getting into player props the last 2 weeks since the break. And it's worked out well for me with the player props. So last week on the show, I started, dipping into the waters a little bit with player props. I gave out a few, some shots on goal props, some other things. And there's going to be more of that coming on this card today. And it's paying out well for me. So my advice is, if you're struggling with sides and totals, try to just, don't just bang your head against the wall and say, I'm struggling and take on more struggles. Look at props, look at some other ways maybe to find some profits in this sport.
Yeah. I feel I love today's card. I think there's a lot of opportunities to make money, and I fired away. I literally was staring at these games. Well, with the cap, but I was also staring at the market nonstop, just kind of seeing if there were going to be any moves, because I thought there's some really nice spots to hammer here. So let's get right to work here. We got a really nice card. We don't always get them on Fridays.
6 games is big for us on a Friday. Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Well, let's attack. We start Ottawa Senators 27-25-4, 11-13-2 at Carolina Hurricanes 38-10-8, 26-2 at home. We're at PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina. Talbot, and look, I'm just not nearly as down as everybody else on Talbot. Everybody seems to be down on Talbot. Look, I'm not. Are you really, really down on Cam Talbot?
Oh, he was terrible before his recent absence. Absolutely awful for the Ottawa Senators. I mean, it was one bad start, one bad goal after another. Maybe, coming back from injury. But at the same time, usually goalies, when they're off this long and they're back at the first game, we saw it with Tristan Jarry. He didn't play great that first game back against the New York Islanders, and he hasn't looked right since coming back from injury. And look, last night the whole team was bad, but he hasn't looked great since returning from a lengthy absence. We're talking about a guy that was struggling going into his lengthy absence, and now he's coming back from that tonight against one of the best teams in the NHL. So, yeah, am I projecting success for Cam Talbot tonight? No, that's the answer. No.
I'm not nearly as down on Cam Talbot. Do you expect Freddie Anderson in net for Carolina?
It's probably going to be him tonight in this game. Let me just see if I can get an update. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be Anderson and Ronta the rest of the season here for Carolina. I'd expect Anderson here tonight in this matchup. Keep in mind, though, for Carolina, they do host Anaheim. This is a back-to-back home game situation for them. So it could be Ronta tonight for all you know, because it is front end of a back-to-back. But I think Anderson will probably get the game tonight. But again, it's just projections right now. Nothing's been confirmed.
Freddie Anderson with a much, much better team in front of him has barely better numbers than Cam Talbot, say percentage-wise. Cam Talbot is more in a shutout. Freddie has none. They haven't played. They played a similar amount of games, like basically 20% of a season, but 905 save percentage for Cam, 908 for Freddie Anderson. We know this Ottawa defensive group don't have defensive studs on it. You can talk about Shabbat the Bed, and even he is known for his offensive talents, not protecting the front of the net or playing strong defensively. So I will stay strong here with my belief in Cam Talbot. I do not think he's a terrible goaltender. When I look down the list of goaltenders here, he's got better numbers than Bobrovsky. He's got better numbers than Jake Allen. Very similar numbers to Carter Hart. He's been getting just absolutely railed on by everybody, and so let me be the first to say that I don't think that I think that it's. Well, we'll see. We'll see here. And I've made moves because of this. So here, Carolina opening up at -242. They're now -248 at Pinnacle. Total wise here, opened up at 6.5, -110 to the under. It's now 6.5, -112 to the under. I moved on the under 6.5. To have a Hurricanes hockey game with a total at 6.5, it should probably be bet under every single time, in my estimation. I mean, there's only a few teams. You were going to see nonstop Carolina totals here down the stretch at 5.5. We're going to see a few sixes, but here's a 6.5 because of the Ottawa Senators. Both penalty killing units have been excellent over the last 10 games. Ottawa 85.7%, Carolina 89.3%, which should stymie these power plays that are both rolling right now in Ottawa and Carolina. Ottawa 7-2-1 over the past 10 games. Sure, Carolina's 9-1-0. There's no better team right now in the NHL than the Carolina Hurricanes. They've coming off their 4 straight win, 4-1 at home over the Blues on Tuesday night. This is a tougher team than the Blues. They've outscored their opponents 17-6 over their last 4 games. Senators coming off a real tough 3-1 loss at Boston on Monday night, and I was impressed with how they played. Saying all that, I'm on Ottawa first period at +165, and I'm on Ottawa, Carolina under 6.5. Take it away, Bobano. The floor is yours.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. We've got Carolina. I like the way Ottawa's competed. There's no doubt about that. The last few games, they beat up. I was on them against St. Louis, and it was just a straight fade of St. Louis. They're just absolute garbage right now. But 7-2 for Ottawa over St. Louis Sunday. They lost in overtime to Chicago, and keep in mind they had a lead of, I believe, 3-1 at one point in that game. So that was one they probably should have locked up. They upset the New York Islanders. They came back to beat Calgary. I mean, they've actually played really competitive hockey. 7-2 against St. Louis, 3-1, like I said, for Boston over Ottawa, and that was a pretty even game. The Bruins didn't run away with that one against the Ottawa Senators on Monday afternoon. So, no, I like what I'm seeing right now from this Ottawa Senators team. And look, those two young goalies, Mads Sogard and Kevin Mandolese, I give them a lot of credit. They both played well with Forsberg out and with Talbot still recovering. But Talbot's back tonight. We'll see how he fares. I just wish he was playing better before the injury, and now he's coming back after a long absence. I mean, I don't know what we're going to get, and I've got my doubts about him. And on the flip side, Carolina, he's going to have to be on his game because Carolina's offense is really good during this stretch. Like, we know they can defend. We know they are one of the best defensive teams in the NHL. We know that their penalty killing is always right up there. One of the best penalty killing groups in the NHL. No question about that. Number 5 in the NHL with the penalty kill. But their offense has really been taken off lately as well, scoring goals in bunches, scoring 3+ goals, this Carolina team, in 9 of their last 10 games. So that, to me, is going to be the big challenge here for Ottawa, is trying to neutralize this team. If you look at the schedule, they play Anaheim tomorrow night, Carolina, so it's not exactly, what I would say a big-time look-ahead spot necessarily going into that game. This is a tricky one. If anything, I'd maybe look at a Hurricane team total over in this game as far as a side or a total goes, over 3.5 at around -140. It's a little juice, but that's probably as close to anything as I'd bet in this game. And as far as but there is one thing I am going to bet and make official here. It's a shots on goal prop for Tim Stützle over 2.5. I mean, it's just an absolute must play right now for this guy. He's been absolutely outstanding. He's playing with great confidence. So, look, the one concern is Carolina suppresses shots, right? They're very, very good defensively. They don't give up a ton of shots, so it's not always easy to take shots on goal props for teams playing for players on teams playing Carolina. But Tim Stützle can't be denied right now. I mean, he's been easily getting to 3+ shots in recent games for the Senators. Like I say, he's playing with great confidence offensively. He's got 4, 6, 7, 10 points in the last 5 games. So he's been really good. You look at those 5 games, 3, 3, 7, 4, and 3 are the shots on goal numbers for Stützle in those games. So we will make it official. Bet 99 has it over 2.5, -108 shots on goal, Tim Stützle.
You are locked in. Stützle over 2.5 shots. And I've been bragging about him all year. I got him and Brady Tkachuk in the hockey pool.
This is another example. Why screw around with a side and total you're wishy-washy on? Look at the props. And for me, that's the best bet in this game. The one I just gave you right now.
All right, let's keep rolling. Situationally in this spot, I like when a team is on a winning streak, playing poor opposition, beating the Blues 4-1, dominating their opposition 17-6, and I'm getting a huge plus line on fading them in the first period. It's a recipe that I do enjoy very much. So Lee Davis says, how about first period under 1.5 at +120? Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to triple up, but I like it. I preferred the 6.5. I'd be very curious to see. Obviously, Carolina scoring right now, and their power play is hot right now, it had been a problem for a lot of the season. But let's just see how many more of these 6.5s we get, and I'll track to see how many more we get with Carolina games, because I don't think there's going to be many. Let's roll on. Yeah, Lee. So I'm on the under 6.5 -150.
I do want to point out with this little stretch Ottawa's put together, they're 6 points back of the second wild card spot. So people have already, basically written this team off and, given them their last rites and recited the eulogy on the Ottawa Senators season and all this stuff. They're not totally out of it yet. And I don't know what the sense is or the feel is in their dressing room right now, how they feel, but 6 points out with still well over a month of regular season hockey left. I mean, crazier things have happened.
Well, yeah, we had this conversation last week. I said that they were still alive, and We had this conversation last week.
Keep in mind, Pittsburgh's selling off. Pittsburgh's going to sell, I think, or something. Pittsburgh's crumbling right before our eyes right now. Washington, that was essentially them waving the white flag, trading Dmitry Orlov yesterday. That they don't believe that they're maybe a playoff team, or even if they get in, they're going to fight like mad to get in the playoffs, to get their ass handed to them by Boston or Carolina in the first round. I think that's their sense. So Pittsburgh's might be selling. They're falling apart. Washington's not playing well. They get Ovi back. They still lose to the lowly Anaheim Ducks somehow. They trade away Orlov. So you can't trust them. Are the Islanders trustworthy? Detroit's playing red hot right now, but can they sustain that till the end of the season? Buffalo's too inconsistent, not consistent enough, especially defensively. So there's room for Ottawa. If they get hot, that they could make a push, but it's got to start now.
Yeah, DC Capper, I got your action. It's funny. They're saying that right now Detroit to make the playoffs plus 320. That's what they were at the beginning of the year. I bet them at plus 310. So we'll see there. Yeah, DC Capper, thank you for sharing that with me. I will pop it up because we're going to go into college basketball right after this. So let me just get that up off the top of college basketball. Dan Kelly, looking at the same game parlay, said asking you what you would tie in with a Stützle prop in a same game parlay bet. And my first thought was you were going to say Hurricanes team total over.
Oh, in the same game parlay? No, I'd probably go something of the prop variety. For me, I would go with.
No, but I'm saying that he's already going to use your Stützle prop.
Oh,
so
okay.
What to add to it?
You know what I like? I like someone that's been struggling mightily. They break out, and he broke out in the last game for Carolina. I'd put a Carolina prop with Stützle. Andrei Svechnikov point prop minus, I think it's minus 165, minus 170 in that range. But you put that with Stützle over shots on goal, you get a nice plus price on that same game parlay, 2-player prop there, same game parlay. I think Svechnikov point with Stützle over 2.5. I think that's good. Svechnikov had been struggling, but he ripped out of the drought against St. Louis the other night. And usually when a really good player finally finds the back of the net, the floodgates open a little bit. So, yeah, I think Svechnikov, either a goal prop or a point prop, is a good look tonight.
All right, let's roll on. Next up for us, Buffalo Sabres, 28-23-4, 17-8-2 on the road at Florida Panthers, 29-25-6, 16-8-3 at home. We're at Florida Live Arena in Sunrise. This line has fluctuated. When I was like, oh, shoot, I got to move on the minus one line, but it was minus 192 on the money line. It was when I saw Pinnacle move it to minus 203. I was like, oh, I got to move. So they moved it to minus 203. It's come back. It's come back to minus 187. So it's come back a little bit. So I don't like seeing that. This total sitting at 7. It was minus 110 to the under. This was a total at 7, minus 104 to the over. Now it's 7, minus 123 to the over. That's just absolutely wild. Craig Anderson, Sergei Bobrovsky, I have listed, but did Comrie play last night?
Yes, he did.
Yep. Okay, so Craig Anderson, I think Comrie is just such a sieve. There's huge anger in the Buffalo market for having Comrie trump everybody when Comrie's healthy and get, because he was clearly, everybody said in training camp that he was the third best goaltender in training camp, yet he was starting game 1. Craig Anderson with a light load is someone I believe in, 8-7-2. This is probably our last year watching the, I believe, 41-year-old, 2.79 goals against average, 915 save percentage, 1 shutout. Bobrovsky not looking very good, 3.12 goals against average, 902 save percentage. Spencer Knight could take this job from him, could have had it, but just didn't play well enough. Buffalo 5-4-1 over the past 10, 19.2% power play. Very weak penalty killing, 68.2%. But Florida's power play has been terrible. 7.1% power play, 77.4% penalty killing. Buffalo on the second half of back-to-back after that 6-5 overtime win. Florida's not looked good of late. They're coming off just barely getting by the Ducks 4-3 on Monday. In saying all that, I think this is an atrocious spot for the Sabres. And I like Florida here quite a bit. I took them on the -1 line at -130. Bobano, take it away. Junkies Delight says Kachuk, shots on goal all day. Lee Davis says Sabres 2-7 on back-to-backs. Florida 2-0 on 3+ days rest. Coin says this feels like a Florida spot. It just is a Florida spot. So take it away for us, Bobano. Floor is yours. Sabres Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this one, this is definitely a Florida spot. There's no question. And I had a piece of Buffalo yesterday. Buffalo, though, it's amazing that they have been absolutely outstanding as road underdogs. I've been saying this for weeks now, if not a month or two. Buffalo in the road underdog role, especially playing a good team, has been outstanding. Their resume of road wins and opponents they've beat on the road, it's damn impressive. I mean, if only they could be more consistent and, not have some of these bad losses they have. But they've beaten Vegas, Colorado, Washington, Pittsburgh, Boston. Not many people win in Boston. Buffalo did earlier this year. They just beat Tampa Bay yesterday on the road. All of these performances on the road, and they have found a way to get the job done, this Sabres team. So that's the reason I'm not touching Florida. But obviously it's a Florida spot. I mean, that was everything poured into that game last night against Tampa Bay, getting the 4-1 lead or 4-2 lead. Tampa Bay coming back, tying it up, and it ended up 5-5, going to overtime. Hat trick for Tage Thompson. Ilya Lyubushkin wins it in overtime. It's definitely concerning. I'll tell you what is concerning, though, for Florida. No Sam Bennett, no Alex Barkov tonight for the Florida
They're saying
Panthers.
that too. I don't have that listed anywhere. Where do you have that?
Yep, both out. Both out tonight for the
Where do you
Florida
have
Panthers.
Oh, there he is right now.
Yep. Hand injury.
Hand injury.
Yep.
I thought he was coming
he
back.
Suffered it at the end of the Anaheim game. Yep. And so Barkov out, Sam Bennett out here for Florida in this game tonight. So some shuffling will have to go on here with the top 6 forward group here for the Florida Panthers. So there's really this is a game where there are some props I like that I'm gonna recommend what I think is my favorite prop in this game in just a second. I am going to target the over in this game, but I'm going to wait for a live line. Like, I'm not going to bet a 7. I'm going to wait for a 6.5 live. That's what I've been doing lately with these 7s. Been waiting for a live line during the game. It's what I did with Buffalo Tampa last night. I waited just a little bit, for a 6.5, and I got it in that game. And that's what I'm going to do here with the total. I'm off the side. I'm looking more towards some props here tonight in this one. And I think when you have Barkov out and when you have Bennett out, I just want to see now what the updated line combos look like tonight.
I like I mean, is there a deeper team down the middle than Florida without their top 2 centermen? I mean,
they have Eric Stahl now. And look, Eric Stahl, let's give him credit. He's not over the hill. He's actually played very well lately for the Panthers, and he scored against Anaheim. He'll be the second line center. It's going to be E2 Coolmint Luostarinen, the top line center tonight. Eric Stahl, Nick Cousins, and Zach Dalby, I believe, called up from the minors, are going to be their 4 centers tonight with Barkov and with Bennett out. So
I have Lundell and Colin White.
Yeah, Lundell
is on the wing with White, and Lundell on the top line with Duclair and Reinhart.
Yeah, they've got my site's RotoWire, and with RotoWire, they're usually, and I'm going to check Daily Faceoff because Daily Faceoff.
I just gave you Daily Faceoff.
Oh, okay. Let me just see what they've got here in terms of line combos because they're pretty accurate too. I usually like to look at both. They're both usually up to the minute, up to the second. All right, what do we got here? Duclair with Lundell and Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Luostarinen, and Tkachuk. So they're going to move Lundell to the center spot. Okay, as of right now. And Lomberg, Stahl, Cousins, Denisenko, White, Dalby. Okay, I believe Daily Faceoff probably has it right from what I see because it makes more sense than what RotoWire's got out there right now. Lundell, just move him to the top line center. But the bottom line is Reinhart now, it's even more important for him offensively to get going. It's more important for him to shoot the puck, and shooting the puck is something he's been doing a lot lately. This plays perfectly to the bet I liked all along in this game, and that's Sam Reinhart over shots on goal, over 2.5 at -141 at Pinnacle. Let's lock that in right now. Sam Reinhart over 2.5 shots on goal. This is a guy that's been picking up steam. It's someone that has been getting his offense going. He's got 2 goals and 2 points in the last 3 games. He's been automatic for going over 2.5 shots. 4 straight games he's gone over 2.5 shots with 3, 5, 5, and 5 shots on goal in the last 4 games. So there you go. Great shots on goal prop. Sam Reinhart, Florida Panthers over 2.5 -141.
You got it locked in. Panthers -1. It's going to be fun to see what Duclair adds to this team in this last stretch run, trying to get in the playoffs. Although
he's going to shoot the puck even more tonight because there's no Barkov. Barkov's out and Bennett's out, so it's even more important. Reinhart, hey, I've got to find my offense tonight.
Let's move on. Next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern, Montreal Canadiens 24-29-4, 10-15-3 on the road.
And against his former team, too, the Buffalo Sabres, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
That's even a stronger look then. He wants to produce against his former team. It's a great bet.
Yeah. No,
phenomenal bet. I strongly recommend that bet. I can't say it. You could probably sprinkle on point props and goal props on Reinhart, too.
The whole Reinhart family, I love. All started when his dad got traded from the Flames to the Canucks and was part of that magical series against the Flames when we were 56 points worse than them. We took them to 7 games overtime, and the puck went in off Poplinski's skate and a goal that would not be allowed. Now, and that was the height of my fandom. Watching that knucklehead team, Smeal on the breakaway, Skriko hitting the post. I see all of those. I'm still there in that. The steamer on that breakaway against Vernon was, that was the height of my fandom. I wanted to beat that Flames team so bad. And of course, that Flames team, after just barely getting by us, who they were 56 points better than us, they go on to win the Stanley Cup. All right, let's roll it here. Canadiens, Flyers, Wells, Fargo Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Jake Allen, Carter Hart, Montreal 4-5-1 over the past 10, 25.9% power play, 71.9% penalty killing, and Philadelphia 3-5-2, 10% power play, 70.8% penalty killing. A poor penalty killing here for the Flyers. Montreal snapped their 2-game winning streak with an impressive 5-2 win at New Jersey on Tuesday night. Flyers finished their 4-game road trip with their 5th loss in 6 games, 4-2 at Edmonton on Tuesday night. And Konechny day-to-day with an upper body injury. I mean, that's not going to help their power play. When I sat with this for a while, obviously I felt that you can't take the Flyers as a favorite. You just can't do it. Big shout out to Real Deal Prime in the house. Real Deal Prime said, a little $5 donut says, to all of those who said the Sabres couldn't walk in Tampa and beat the Lightning. I love it. And there's Rez Mob joining us. Rez Mob, great seeing you close out our big promo video for Pubapalooza with us at the poker table. I love that. Love seeing you on that. But here, Philadelphia opening up at -141. Now they're -161. Look, I get it. They're the likely team to win tonight, but I can't bet them at this number. Total wise, this total opened up at 6.5. I guess it opened up at 6.5 at Penny, and it was a pick'em at 6.5. It then dropped to 6. Juice to the over at Bet365. It's exactly where I bet it. I bet the under 6.5 in this. If maybe Konechny can play, it's an upper body injury, but if he's not there, this Flyers power play is just not scoring. And that's where you can attack the Habs with a 71.9% penalty killing. And Carter Hart, the way the Flyers, I expect them to play after a road trip where they actually played better than they look bad against Vancouver. They look bad against Seattle, but they look great in Alberta. And that's not easy to do. And I'm on the under 6.5 here in this spot. Take it away, Bobano, Habs, Flyers.
First game back after a long road trip and a decent end of the road trip. Like, they've nearly beat Edmonton. They won't be happy they lost the game in regulation, didn't get anything for their effort. They just ran out of gas at the end, but they beat Calgary. They didn't play well against Seattle or Vancouver. So I guess 1-3, there wasn't it could have been a really good road trip, but the Seattle and Vancouver games were terrible. They blew it against Edmonton, but I think they ran out of steam in the third period in that game. And now they're back home here tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. Off the road trip. I just want to see if I can find some numbers here with the long-term road numbers here for the Philadelphia Flyers when they're coming off a road trip. Let me see if there's anything I can find. That doesn't look like it, but what I do know is they're 1-6 in their last 7 home games. What I do know is Montreal's actually played them very well here in Philadelphia. They've won 4 of the last 5. I'm going to take a shot with the dog here with Montreal. The effort's been outstanding. Even with the undermanned, just depleted, gutted lineup that Marty St. Louis has to throw out there every night, I've been impressed with the effort, with the work ethic of this team. You got players that are playing for jobs, and they catch Philly off this long road trip. We know that's not a very good spot. We know Travis Konechny. It looks like isn't going to play tonight at this point in time. Yeah, he's out. So, that's a huge blow. He's been obviously one of their best forwards this season. again, coming back off that road trip. Jake Allen, who's going to be in net tonight for the Montreal Canadiens. And by the way, Sam Montembeault was just brilliant against New Jersey. It was absolutely outstanding in his last start. It wasn't good for Allen against Toronto, but keep in mind he faced 41 shots, and he struggled a little bit in that game, but he actually played pretty well. He had a shutout against Chicago, the 2-goal allowance against Edmonton. He was on a little bit of a run there where he was playing well. Again, they catch Montreal here in this tricky spot here, coming back home off the road trip. They haven't played good on home ice. They're laying a price that, you want to lay a price with a bad team? That's what this boils down to. And Montreal's not a good team either, but I'm getting a nice price, and I think they're in the more favorable spot because Philly's coming home off that West Coast trip or that West trip. So I like Montreal here. They're worth a shot at the price we're getting, plus 145 at Pinnacle.
Locked in. Bobano's on the Habs plus 145. I'm on the under 6.5 at minus 120. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. A fun one. 7 p.m. Eastern. Minnesota Wild 31-21-5, 12-11-3 on the road at the Maple Leafs, 35-15-8, 22-64 home. Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario. Gustafsson will be between the pipes after watching Marc-Andre Fleury play excellent. Look, Fleury's got a ton of character and a ton of heart, and I want him to succeed. And
that was a gut check for Fleury because he had been playing awful. And he ripped into that, and he knows Gustafsson's taken his spot a little bit. And he ripped in there last night against Columbus, and that was vintage Fleury last night. He was really good. It's not like it was an easy night. They faced 30 shots. I mean, they played okay in front of him, but he had to be good, and he was. That was his best start in a long time, so credit to him.
Yeah. Andrew G says, bet the Oilers tonight before bed. They play the Blue Jackets tomorrow. That's not where we've talked all year about where the Oilers have the most value, and it's on the road against good hockey teams. So they're going to be huge favorites on the road there. It's just I'm not saying that it's not going to be a winning bet for you, Andrew G. It's just not. And you guys know how much I've invested in the Oilers now, and we tripled up on them to win the division, and we have the conference and Stanley Cup, and I'm very comfortable with where I stand. Wild Leafs here. Samsonov in between the pipes for the Leafs. 27-2, 2.4 goals against average, 9-15 save percentage, 3 shutouts. Minnesota 5-4-1 over their past 10. There's been a couple times this year where they've gone in big losing streaks, and they've shown their character and put some wins together to keep their season alive. 20% power play, 96.2% penalty killing, Minnesota Wild. Toronto 6-4-0, 32% power play, 92.6% penalty killing over their past 10. Domi Gun Ricci already gave us a look on the under in this one. Did I pass it? Let me see if I can grab it up here again. But he already gave us a look on the under 6. He's going to be on the first period under as well. I thought I had it here, but I don't see it for whatever reason. But here, what we keep seeing, is other general managers make the moves that Kyle Dubas should be making. And all this talk about, defense, and there's the perfect defender, the perfect guy for you. And the Bruins, who you're going to have to get through, snatch him up, and Dmitry Orlov. You have so much offense on this hockey team. You need someone who you can trust on the back end. Muzzin's not coming back this year, and you need someone who can trust. And I just thought that was now look how much Boston gave up for Orlov. Doesn't that give you an idea of his value? So I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of the Leafs, because I was surprised that they were not going to be 3-line strong, and that they were going to move Tavares to the wing with O'Reilly. But look what they did last game. They went off, and But Minnesota on the second half of back-to-back after winning their fourth straight game, 2-0 at Columbus last night. The Leafs bounced back after their shock 5-3 loss to Chicago by beating up on Buffalo 6-3 in the 7-1-6. I am on Minnesota first period here at plus 150. So dope to see Nate Dogg 420 back in the chat. OG low bagger, my guy Nate Dogg 420 in the house. Slatty says Brodin was such a big loss for the Wild. Leafs hitting on all cylinders. Leafs team total over 3.5. Lee Davis has got to be an under here. I don't like, the second half of a back-to-back. I get concerned when there's a defensive team that I need for an under, and I'm worried about their legs. This is a road back-to-back. Columbus up to Toronto, across the border. That's the only reason why I didn't move on this under. And it was enough for me to actually take a good look at the over.
And there's two defensemen out for the Minnesota Wild, and it's actually two of their better, steadier defensive defensemen. John Merrill is out, and of course Jonas Brodin is the big one. He's out, so keep that in mind. Shorthanded.
Yeah. So, but I still think that Minnesota, especially after the Leafs feel so good about themselves off that dominant victory, I like Minnesota first period to come in sharp, come in strong. I like the number I got them at plus 150. I waited for it to get to plus 150. It was first available for me at 140, got 150, and I moved on it. Floor is yours. Bobano, take it away. Wild Leafs at Scotiabank.
I think if you like Minnesota, that's the way you got to go. I mean, I don't know if the legs are going to hold up for 60 minutes. I do think there's an element where we've seen this with Toronto. That was just such an easy win for them against Buffalo. Like, that game was over in the first period, essentially, and they cruised from there and still almost made it interesting, believe it or not. You know, it got interesting at the end. But, yeah, if you like Minnesota, take them early. They have a respectable, at least, 4-3 record this year. On the second night of back-to-back games. So keep that in mind. But it is a tough spot. You know, they played in Columbus last night. It's going to be 3rd and 4 nights for them. We'll see how they fare here in Toronto. Toronto, by the way, hosting Minnesota, 3-1, 4-2 victories the last 2 meetings. And then actually Toronto's played Minnesota very well. They've won 4 of the last 5 meetings, only a 4-3 win in a shootout for Minnesota last year in December. It's the only win they've had during that time. Again, from a side and a total perspective, not much. I mean, Minnesota is turning it around. They've won 4 in a row. They're playing a little bit better. Let's give them credit for that. It was a brutal stretch out of the All-Star break. But again, their defense is good. Their goaltending's good. And look, Philip Gustafsson's been really good. And he's back in net here for the Wild tonight. He's been really 4-0-1 in his last 5 starts. I believe the save percentage is over .940 for Gustafsson during that time. So he's been really, really strong going into this matchup against the Leafs. This is another one where side and total, I'm not really that interested in either the side or the total, but there's props I like. There's actually 2 that I'm going to get in on here with Ryan Hartman of the Minnesota Wild, who is up on the top line center spot. He now has 5 points in 3 games since going up to that top line center spot. I'm on 2 props involving Ryan Hartman tonight for the Minnesota Wild. Over 2.5 shots on goal, plus 120 at DraftKings. He's starting to shoot the puck more. His offense is starting to come back to life. And credit to Dean Evison for putting a guy that was struggling up on the top 6. And it's really given him new life. And all of a sudden, you know, playing with better players, having the confidence of your coach, it's helped. So I like that shots on goal prop for Hartman. And just to get a point, he's also at DraftKings plus 120. Ryan Hartman to get a point tonight. I think that's a very good bet. All he has to do is get a goal, get an assist. He's on the top line center spot, plus 120. Ryan Hartman to get a point is a good bet. There's a couple more too. We're going to bet Joel Eriksson Ek over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 120 at Unibet. He's the last couple of games, he's kind of trended under the shots, but for the long term over the last 10, he's been almost automatic. And this is as good a price as I've seen on Eriksson Ek over shots on goal during that span. It hasn't been this cheap in a long time. So I like that one over 2.5, minus 120 with that. And then on the Toronto Maple Leaf side of things, I'm going to look to see what the juice is too much. It's minus 185 on Ryan. I'll bet that, but I won't make it official. Ryan O'Reilly over 1.5, minus 185. If you want to lay I think it's a good bet, good play. He's got great confidence right now, shooting the puck quite a bit. But minus 185, I'm just not going to put that on the card. It's just too much juice. I'll lay it personally, but I'm not going to put it on the card. So we'll stop there. We'll go Eriksson Ek over 2.5 shots. We'll go Hartman over 2.5 shots and Hartman point as well.
What was the juice on the shots with Hartman?
Minus 120.
Minus 120 on
wait a minute.
plus 120 for the point.
Sure. Actually, I think it was a plus price. Hold on. Yeah, plus 120. My bad. Yeah, DraftKings
for 2.5 shots?
For over 2.5 shots for Ryan Hartman.
Wow, so you're getting plus 120 on the 2.5 shots, plus 120 on the point.
On the point, yeah.
All right, let's roll on. I'm on Minnesota first period here. And Jay Stone saying Minnesota isn't very good in the first period. Every game I'm looking to bet against them in the first.
Yeah.
I hear that, Jay Stone. But
that's the one. I've got to bet that. Absolutely. Thank you for doing that. I knew there was a Leaf shots prop other than O'Reilly I was thinking of. Nylander, of course. Willie Nylander's like a shooting machine right now for this hockey team. Over 3.5 shots on goal, Jimmy. William Nylander plus 105 at Unibet. Look at the numbers here. 7, 4, There's one game against Chicago he stayed under. He had 3, but 5 of the last 6 games he's had 7, 4, 5, 4, and 7 shots on goal. And you got to believe with that fatigued Minnesota blue line, they're going to give up some shots, especially as this game goes on to this Toronto team. So yeah, Nylander over 3.5 shots plus 105 at Unibet. Yep.
And Ron Crawford has come in giving us the Toronto Maple Leafs spreadsheet play of the day on the Leafs in regulation. I'm on Minnesota first period plus 150. But I would like to touch on Jay Stone, great friend of the show, said, he's looking to bet against them in the first period. I've seen a Minnesota Wild team that's putting every last bit of effort into trying to get that last playoff spot. Winners of 4 straight, and now playing tonight in the center of the hockey universe. So, after a 2-0 win, they're on the winning streak. They're playing against a dynamite hockey club in the center of the hockey universe, steps away from the Hockey Hall of Fame. I think I'm going to get a healthy 20 minutes from them, and I don't care what they've done. This is
an easy pass for me. I'm not stepping in front of Toronto, but I'm not stepping in front of a Minnesota team that's put 4 wins in a row together, even on a back-to-back, getting a price like this. I'm not. So yeah.
Let's keep rolling. We have 2 more games in NHL, and then we get into the college basketball card. We've picked 11 games in college basketball, and you can take a look at the schedule. We couldn't do them all today because we have NBA with Dutch Boy Fresh right after with Bobano. So let's move to the next spot on the board. Another spot that I've moved on, LA Kings 32-19-7, 15-10-5 on the road at the New York Islanders, 30-24-7, 18-10-3 at home at UBS Arena in Elmont. Johnny Quick between the pipes. What a garbage fire he is. And nobody's singing around this garbage fire. He's just so bad. It's sad. It's sad. Those with the vividness bias of his Stanley Cup championships. It's sad. 878 save percentage. Earl Sports Bet says fade Quick at all costs. Domi Gunarici got the Islanders minus 117. I took it further. I took the Islanders on the -1 line, plus 131. Maybe that's not something you want to do with the team that's struggling to score. And that's what they're doing. Coming off their second straight win, 3rd and 4 games. So it's 2-1 over Winnipeg at home on Wednesday. You lose Barzal and you lose Bailey, Barzal and Bailey, and they're pass first forwards. And they're going to help a lot. But I love Matt Martin on the first line. Show me some toughness. Well, what happened to that NHL? So Matt Martin coming up on the top line, you know what you're going to get from him. He's as accountable as any player in the NHL. I really like him, and I really like him getting some time on that first line. And I moved on the Islanders -1 to plus 131. Sorokin against Quick. We have this enormous advantage in between the pipes. Sure, the Kings' offense is rolling, 34.5% power play over the past 10. But second half of back-to-back after losing 4-3 in overtime at New Jersey last night. This is their 3rd game in 4 nights. It's a very tough spot for the Kings. And I took the Islanders on the -1 line. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Kings, Isles.
Yeah, a little regression starting to hit for the LA Kings. They're playing really good hockey. We'll see if the Kings can keep it going or, bounce back, I should say, here tonight. But tough start to this road trip. It is worth noting, they played struggling Pittsburgh. They beat Buffalo. The last 2 of the games, though, were the Anaheim, Arizona games. So this was going to be a tough road trip with good teams in it. Minnesota was struggling, but, they're still a capable team, solid team. New Jersey, obviously having a great season. That was going to be a test. This is going to be a test because the Islanders have played, for the most part, better hockey since they got Horvat. And then, of course, they got the Rangers and they've got the Jets after this, on this road trip. So this is going to be a big, tough trip for LA. We're going to find out a lot more about LA, especially these next 3 as it gets deeper into the trip. The opponents remain pretty tough. See what kind of metal they have in them. But this is a tricky spot. I want no part of LA tonight with Quick and Net. I can't. I love this LA team. The idea of taking them as a dog against the Islanders is actually very appealing to me. But on a back-to-back, a tough loss last night. And Jonathan Quick, I can't back a team with Jonathan Quick and Net. I hate to be harsh about it, but it's got to be said. I mean, he's had a tough season. There's no question about that. We remember what it was with Quick the last time we saw him in net. Now, we do want to point out it hasn't been confirmed that he's in net. We just assumed that because it was Phoenix Copley last night for the LA Kings against New Jersey. But we have to believe it's probably going to be Quick. And here's Quick in the last 4 starts that he's made. 5 goals allowed, 5 goals allowed, 3 goals allowed, 4 goals allowed. It's been ugly. It's been rough for him. There's no doubt about that. What's his numbers? 3.49 goals against average, 878 save percentage, a 10-13 record. Nothing to write home about here. We do know for the Islanders, we're going to see Sorokin in net. Sorokin's been absolutely terrific. No question. He's the reason they beat Pittsburgh. He is the reason they beat Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh, I think, too, the reason Pittsburgh got slaughtered by Edmonton last night was I think the Islander losses just really took some of their spirit and their will away. I mean, they figured we were better than them for large parts of that game, and we didn't win either game against the Islanders, Pittsburgh. But give Sorokin credit for that. He was absolutely terrific in both of those games. Absolutely stellar net minding from him. I think this is an over for me. I don't like the over in this game. 5.5 is still out there with the total. Some books it's shifted up to 6, but to me, I think we can get enough goals to get over the total. Over 5.5, minus 120 at the score bet is what we will lock in with the total in this one. As far as props go, there is a couple. I think there's one for LA that let me just see what the prices are on this. Again, be careful because, you're talking about a goalie in Sorokin that's in pretty good form. But, Fiala's point prop's a little rich. Let's see what it is for Kempe here tonight with his prop. That's a little better. But I would look at props involving any props with Fiala, Kempe, and Kopitar for the Kings in terms of point props. They've been starting to produce and click and get going a little bit for them. Going into this game tonight. The Islanders, right now, I think when you look at them offensively, Anders Lee has been a huge cog. I mean, Brock Nelson gets on the score sheet every single night right now, it seems, for them. So keep an eye on that. I want to see if there's shots on goal props for this young kid here. I'm just going to take a look, because if there is, I'm going to put this on my card. He's been shooting the puck a ton. He's not even on their top 6 forward group yet. Arand Durando. For the New York Islanders. Durando is actually how you say that name. Durando for the New York Islanders. He is someone that's been recently called up, been in the lineup for this team. And I just noticed in 2 games since he's been a part of the lineup, Arno Durando here for the Islanders, he's got like 7 shots on goal. They don't have any shots on goal props for him. Damn it. All right. We'll just stick to the over here. Over 5.5 minus 120.
You got it. Over 5.5 minus 120. Let's move on to the final game on the board. I completely understand the market movement in this one. And there's been a big one. There's been a big one towards the Colorado Avalanche. We're moving to college basketball right after this. Huge move towards the Avalanche. Wow, not anymore. Okay, it's come back. So this was at different times. This had got up to minus 117. And that's where it was moving, but it's come all the way back. Interesting. So Winnipeg has taken, well, I guess just 10 cents. Maybe I took it too far. Winnipeg's taking 10 cents. Interesting. So let me move over to a different book. That's Pinnacle at Bet365. There's been no movement. They opened it up as a pick'em. A lot of books offshores had the Avs as a dog, like, almost up to plus 110. Dog. That's not the case anymore. This total is low. This total, and if you've been watching the Jets, they're playing low-scoring hockey. This total opened up at 6 and quickly moved to 5.5, which is where it is right now. And it's 5.5 at a pick'em. So it's a big move towards the under. Avalanche 31-19 and 5-17, 10-1 on the road. Jets 35-22-1, 28-0 at home. Canada Life Center, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Situationally, it's an awful spot for Winnipeg. We know it. Now, it was a disappointing road trip. It's funny, Bobano, to look at that 1-3 road trip, because when you're watching them, they played well. They probably deserved a better fate than going 1-3 on the road. They lost at the Islanders on Wednesday night 2-1. They were pretty fortunate. They got some fortunate calls in that game. And then they beat the Rangers when being outshot 51-21. So it was a tricky road trip against tough teams. Colorado comes off their 3rd straight win, 6-5 in overtime over Edmonton at home on Sunday night. Sunday night, huge rest advantage for Colorado. So Wednesday night, the Jets lose at the Islanders, head back home, And that's tough. That's tough. Hellebuck is playing out of his mind. Georgiev is doing everything that I thought he would do when he knew there was no one peeking over. He knew he was the number one goaltender, .918 save percentage. But without Makar in the lineup, you can see this Colorado power play at 16.7% over the last 10 games. That's what happens when you take this unbelievable stud off of the power play. 83.3% penalty killing. Winnipeg just 4-6-0, 13.9% power play, 86.7% penalty killing. Take it away here, Bobano. I guess if they're going to give me I guess I do have interest in Colorado. I just thought the market was going to keep moving towards them. I'm surprised that it stopped. Take it away here for us, Bobano. Canada Life Center in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Avalanche, Jets.
Yeah, definitely. Winnipeg off a road trip. That's not a great spot for Winnipeg. I can tell you that right now. But they're off a 1-3 road trip.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be happy. I think they're going to really play well. And they've actually, if you actually go back and look, they've played Colorado really well here at home. The last two meetings, they've hosted the Avs 4-1, 5-0, 9-1, the combined score the last two times the Winnipeg Jets have hosted the Colorado Avalanche here at Canada Life Center in Winnipeg. So I think they're going to have a hell of an effort tonight, especially with the way that ended against the Islanders, that 2-1 loss. Very disappointing. Losing 3 of the 4 games on that trip, pissing away the New Jersey game. And to be honest with you, they won the Rangers game because of Hellebuck. He was absolutely spectacular. They got outshot 51-21. So I don't really love the way that they're trending, but I feel that they're going to play well tonight. Cale Makar is still out for Colorado. He won't be back tonight. Eric Johnson's out on the blue line as well. That's significant for them. He's on the injured reserve with a broken ankle. So we got look for as much depth as the Avs have on the blue line, and they're loaded back there. You know, that depth is going to be put to the test tonight here against this Winnipeg team. They've won 3 in a row, though. They are playing well. They beat Minnesota, beat St. Louis, beat Edmonton in overtime 6-5. They didn't even play their best game. But Winnipeg's beat them 3 straight times, including 2 in a row here in Winnipeg. I mean, you know, it's been definitely a good matchup here in terms of the Jets head-to-head here against the Avalanche. So we'll see how this one plays out. Again, Jets have been an under machine, 6 straight unders. I know that's the way Rick Bowness wants them to play. You know, very attention to detail defensive hockey. Cole Perfetti, by the way, out for Winnipeg here in this game tonight. We don't have goalies, I believe, confirmed yet for this game. We don't. We have just projections that it'll be Georgiev for Colorado and Hellebuck for Winnipeg. So I don't really have a strong feel. I think Colorado's in the better spot because Winnipeg's coming home off a road trip. But I feel Colorado, you know, has had a tough time in Winnipeg. Winnipeg's coming to play tonight, even with this being a tough spot, because I don't think they like the way, and they have been a good home team this year. So it's a really tough side for me. 5.5, I lean over. If there is 5, I don't think there is right now. Oh, it is 5.5, pretty much across. Yeah, give me that over. Yeah, at 5.5, I'll get in on that. I'll get in on over at 5.5. I mean, I do think the Jets could be a little sloppy defensively. Again, when you're off the road trip, you're a little bit lackadaisical. Your puck management, you know, sometimes you're step slow physically, you're step slow mentally as well, and that sometimes shows up in defensive miscues at the other end. So let's go. And Pinnacle's got a great price on this. Over 5.5 minus 108 at Pinnacle. So let's lock that in for Avs and Jets. Oh, and shots on goal prop. There is one there is a couple on the Winnipeg side that I do like because I do think they're going to be shooting the puck quite a bit here in this game. Mark Scheifele over 2.5 shots on goal minus 110. That's at Bet 99. Let me see here. Josh Morrissey. This is someone that's been ripping the puck from the blue line. Over 2.5 shots on goal. Josh Morrissey plus 115 at Unibet. Let's put that one on the card as well. I think those are 2 pretty good shots on goal looks. And there is one more on Winnipeg's side that I'm interested in as well, and that's Dubois. Let me just see where he's been at here. And I want to see what his home numbers have been in terms of shooting the puck. Okay, the last homestand they had, let's see what he did here. 1, 2, 3, 5, 2. 3 of them stayed under. Yeah, we'll leave Dubois off the card. We'll just stick with those 2. Scheifele over 2.5 and Morrissey over 2.5 shots.
You got it. Scheifele, Morrissey, and the over. Ramon Scott, now living in Vegas. Shout out to Ramon. He's on the other side. He says Avs 7-20 to the under on the road. Jets 6-22 to the under at home. Says, wow, give me the alternate total under 4.5 at plus 2 50. Res Mob says he's on Xavier. That's going to get us rolling into the next spot. We are going to review our action.
Oh, and one more. Actually, there's one more that I've just realized. I'm looking at my list here that I've written down for NHL for our segment here. There's one. I forgot one on the Montreal game for prop.
Okay.
Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson's on the top line. He's been absolutely outstanding for the Canadiens, shooting the puck quite a bit. Shots on goal for Josh Anderson is over 2.5 plus 125 at Unibet. It's an outstanding price. He's gotten over that number, I think, 4 or 5 straight. He's on the top line with Suzuki right now for them. He's been one of the guys that they're counting on now for offense with Slavkovsky, Caulfield, and countless others, Gallagher, countless others that are out. So, yeah, Anderson over 2.5 shots on goal in this game. And let's put, if not a goal, I'll be a little safer. Let's go with Josh Anderson point at plus 128 at FanDuel as well. So Anderson over 2.5 shots on goal plus 125, and Josh Anderson to get a point for Montreal plus 128.
You got it. You are locked in.
That's it. We're done.
Let's review all action in NHL. I'm on Ottawa first period at plus 165 and the under 6.5 in Ottawa, Carolina at minus 115. Bobano is on Stützle over 2.5 shots at minus 108. I'm on the Panthers -1 at minus 130. Bobano is on Sammy Reinhart over 2.5 shots at minus 141. I'm on Montreal, Philadelphia under 6.5 at minus 120. Bobano's on the Habs at plus 145. Anderson over 2.5 shots at plus 125. And Anderson a point plus 128. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today is Toronto in regulation. I'm on Minnesota first period plus 150. Bobano's on Hartman over 2.5 shots at plus 120. Hartman 1 point at plus 120. Eriksson Ek over 2.5 shots at minus 120. Nylander over 3.5 shots at plus 105. I'm on the Islanders -1 at plus 131. Bobano's on the over 5.5 in Kings Islanders. Bobano's on over 5.5 in Avalanche Winnipeg, and an edge, an angle brought to us from Lee Davis that helps with that. Avs 4-1 to the over on 3 days plus rest this season. There's my guy Juan Ruiz, Vite Bramby, Danzo in the house, and Morrissey over 2.5 shots at plus 115. So Scheifele, Morrissey over both 2.5 shots, and the over 5.5. And I'm off that Colorado Winnipeg game, although I am very interested in.
I'm not making them official, but to Robert Franklin in the chat, Kopitar goal and the Reinhart goal and point, I will be betting those. Not official plays for the show, but I will be betting those. Kopitar to score a goal at a great price. He scored in 4 straight. Reinhart to score a goal, get a point against his former team in addition to the shots on goal. There you go.
All right, let's roll on to college basketball. Our guy Rez has already said he's on Xavier big. Says like the way Xavier performs in close games. Basically a pick 'em when I got in. Also, DC Capper has given us his 2 looks. We will review them again at the end of our college basketball segment. But he's got 5% action on the Arkansas State, Louisiana Monroe over 129.5, and he's on Nevada -3. Those are the 2 spots for DC Capper. All right, let's get to work here in college basketball. Coming off my worst day of the season in college basketball, and angry. It just shocking. The last minute and a half was just a horror show for me throughout the day, and I would like to bounce back. I plan on bouncing back, and the stakes are high, man. These bankrolls, they're not invincible. Sure, they strengthened enormously last year and with the football season, but they're not just invincible. You can't. So I need a day today. Let's get to work. We start with the number 16th ranked Xavier, 20-8, 12-5 in the Big East at Seton Hall. 16-12, 9-8 in the Big East. We're at the Prudential Center, Newark, New Jersey. Let's go to the line history here. We'll start with Pinnacle quickly. Pinnacle opened up Seton Hall plus 1.5. That's where they are right now. I don't like hearing that Rez is on Xavier. I was very interested in Seton Hall, but the market has moved towards Xavier. It helps knowing there's so many important facets of this show. Do you want to go up against certain cappers who have a strong feel when you're wishy-washy? Because that's sort of me. Xavier opened up at the pick 'em yesterday at 1:38 p.m. They're now at -1.5 at -113. Let's go into the cash flow for this one. We have the X-Men 4,534 tickets in. There's actually line value, according to Sports Insights, on Seton Hall. 49% of the tickets are on Xavier and 21% of the cash. If the market was moving towards Seton Hall, I would be on them. Now, the market is staying flat right now. 52% of the tickets and 62% of the cash is on the over, 52 and 62. And we've seen this total go from 140 to 142. So that does interest me. We're in the Prudential Center. Xavier coming in off their third loss in 4 games, losing 64-63 at home to Villanova on Tuesday as 4.5-point favorites. And remember, in that game, the sharp money, the big bets were all over Villanova. And yet I was pussyfooting around like a losing capper. It was just this screaming at us to back Villanova, and I just stayed off of it. Instead, Seton Hall comes in off its third loss in 4 games, 64-55 at UConn on Saturday's 11-point dogs. Xavier won at home over Seton Hall 70-67 as well earlier in the year. Take it away for us here, Bobano. First game on the card and the biggest game on the card, Xavier, Seton Hall.
Yeah, Xavier's not playing well right now. They've hit their rough patch for the season. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games on the road at Butler, on the road at Marquette. They beat DePaul, and then they lost to Villanova as favorites in their last game. Yeah, I get it. There's injury concerns here for Seton Hall. They're already without Abdu Njai in the front court. Alexis Yetna, who was supposed to be this big-time transfer they got from South Florida to help them in the front court, he hasn't played all season. They've got Dre Davis out indefinitely with that ankle injury. He's a significant piece for this basketball team. And Kaderi Richmond, who averages 10.1 points per game, is questionable right now due to a back injury. And he left the last game with that injury. So they're a banged-up team. Make no mistake about it, Seton Hall. But, so is Xavier. Xavier hasn't been the same since Zach Fremantle, their big guy, got hurt. They've got Kiki Tandy questionable with a foot injury. Cam Kraft's out indefinitely with a knee issue. So, I think in this game, both teams are banged up. I think it's kind of a wash, and there's still a chance Kaderi Richmond plays tonight for Seton Hall. The question is, who do you want here? Seton Hall needs wins desperately. They're definitely on that tournament precipice right now, where if they're going to strengthen their resume, they got to get wins like this here in a game like this, taking on this struggling Xavier team. So 10-4 at home. I don't trust the Xavier defense right now, and I haven't trusted it all year, quite honestly. But all of a sudden, actually, it's been their offense that's kind of taken the hit, where they've only scored 63, 68, 67, in 3 of their last 4 games going into this one. So, the betting markets are saying, okay, Xavier's, had a tough stretch. It's their spot to bounce back. I'm not really convinced of that at all. So I'm going to take Seton Hall here, even with the market slightly bumping up to Xavier here. I like Seton Hall. I'll take them, make it official at +1.5.
I like it. I like the look. I'm not going to move. I'm going to try to keep things pretty tight with everything kind of correlating for me, but this is Seton Hall or no bet for me. And you're getting +1.5. There's a +1. Sorry, of course we want the half. What am I talking about?
I know Seton Hall will defend. That's the one thing. I don't always know about that for Xavier.
+1.5 at -105. And we roll on razor sharp picks in the house. Our big Friday night live bet stream with razor sharp picks and Dabby Cab tonight. Bucks Heat. We're going to be talking about that game with our guy Dutch Boy Fresh. I'm with BJ. Seton Hall or nothing. Grit and grind, liking the under. Okay, let's move on. We have a move from Bobano. We move on. Let's head to the Metro Atlantic. So we have touched on almost every conference here today. And so I tried to have, if the games are playing at the same time, it was easier, but I tried to back-to-back the games.
This was a rare Friday. We couldn't go through the whole card because there's just too many games.
Yeah, and I like it. I like it. So, Razor says 50 likes already on the stream. So we are starting the show with shots, says Razor Sharp Picks. I love it. So our next 2 games are in the Metro Atlantic. The 2 games that we chose for the Metro Atlantic, Siena Ryder and Fairfield Niagara. So let's go to Lawrenceville, New Jersey with the Ryder Bronx at home to Siena Saints to start. Siena Saints 17-10, 11-5 in conference. The Bronx 14-11 and also 11-5 in conference. These teams will likely be battling, very close to the end of the conference tournament here in the Metro Atlantic to see who gets in the dance. Let's see what we are dealing with. There's been a pretty hefty move towards the Bronx here. They're almost at the song point. As you know, Pistol Pete Loshak sings Rider -4. They're almost there, but they're -3. They didn't open there. They opened at -1.5. They're now at -3 at Pinnacle. Let's see what Bet Online did with this one. Bet Online moved from -1 to -3 too. So totals wise, this opened up at 134. It's now sitting at 134.5. It did get up to 135.5. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. Metro Atlantic action, Sienna Rider, 2,241 tickets in. They've given some slight line value to the Rider Bronx. But 44% of the tickets and 52% of the cash is on Sienna. So it's pretty even, but surprising move towards Rider. Obviously, bets on Rider that the books consider sharp. 47% of tickets and 57% of cash on the under here. Alfred says this looks like a Rider spot. Money line at least. Sienna had their 2-game winning streak snapped in a 66-63 loss at home to Quinnipiac on Friday as 3-point favorites. Also, Rider, similar foe, coming off its second straight loss, 90-88 in double overtime at Quinnipiac on Sunday as 3-point dogs. So we have Sienna with a rest advantage, Rider coming off an overtime game, but the advantage, they didn't. I'm sure Rider's good to go after playing Sunday. Rider lost at Sienna 68-63 back on January 8th as 4-point dogs, and here's their chance for Rabenga. Do they get it? The floor is yours, Bobano. Saints, Bronx.
I like Sienna here now that it's gone up to 3. I do. I mean, Rider is a home favorite. I'm not interested. A home favorite's been a disaster for them outside of St. Peter's, who are terrible this year. Niagara, they didn't cover as home chalk. Manhattan, they didn't cover as home chalk. Fairfield, they didn't cover as home chalk. Canisius, in their last home game, they lost outright as home chalk. Don't lay points with Rider at home. Don't lay points with a lot of teams here in this conference as home favorites. How many times have I said this season with you, Jimmy, there? You don't lay points at home with these teams. They're just not. The road dogs are the way to go, and this is a good quality team that it fell on some hard times, had some injuries, Sienna here, but they got McCollum, Xavier McCollum, their great point guard back recently. And they had a tough loss at home against Quinnipiac. I thought they probably should have won that game, but now you got them in a rare underdog role. And we have them in an underdog role because Rider's been playing some pretty good basketball, winning 8 of the last 10 games. So you don't get Sienna catching points in conference very often. They have played Rider pretty well. In fact, going back and looking here at Rider, Sienna's won 3 straight here in this building against Rider. They played Rider well over the years. I like Sienna here +3. I also like the over. I'm going to do a side and total here. The games at Rider between these two teams. We talk about how Sienna's played well here. The recent meetings here at Rider, we had a 151, a 146, and a 147 in terms of total points scored the last 3 meetings here between these teams at Rider's home gym. So all of them over the total. So, and again, Rider's offense is playing a little bit better. And the total's reasonable here, 134, so 134.5. So let me just see if the best numbers here just to confirm. Yeah, Sienna +3, -110 at Bet365, and we can get the over 134 -110 at Bet365 as well.
You got them both locked in. Metro Atlantic action for Bobano. A couple shout outs. First, our man William Bardo, now a member of We Be Pub. And thank you, William Bardo, our guy running with us. Thank you. And then we have a $2 dono from Real Deal Prime, hoping to hear little Riders on the Storm from our very own Ian Cameron. Is there a shot?
Riders on the Storm. There you go.
There you go. Voice of a.
Hopefully they're not on the Storm tonight. Yep.
Yes, and for your sake. Sienna +3 and over 134 for Bobano. Next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern, we stay in the Metro Atlantic. The Fairfield Stags, 12-5, 8-9 in conference. In Niagara, Purple Eagles, 14-12, 9-8 in conference. Gallagher Center in Niagara Falls, New York. Let's take a look at the line history for this one. Fairfield had their 2-game winning streak snapped in a 73-72 loss at home to Manhattan on Sunday as 5-point favorites. Here we go. We have Fairfield opening up at -2. +2. That's where they are right now, +2. It did go to 1.5 for a little bit, but it's at 2, and it's juiced at 2. So overall, since the opening line dropped at Pinnacle, there's been a 7-cent move towards Fairfield. Let's see what BetOnline has done. BetOnline has opened this up at 2.5 and dropped it down to 2, and it dropped down to 1.5. And we always want to have an idea of where that sharp early money is, because we think that it's sharp action or professional action. I know that the limits are involved, so it's not too big of a deal. But this moved immediately at the opening with BetOnline. BetOnline opened this up at 1:38 p.m. It lasted there for 26 minutes before it moved a full point in the direction of Fairfield. Totals-wise, this opened up at 124, and that's where it stands right now. It did get up to 125, actually 4 hours in, so that's back at 124. Niagara comes in off its third straight loss, 61-52 at Marist on Sunday, as 2-point favorites. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. 1,477 tickets in. 53% of the tickets and 82% of the cash is on Fairfield. 85% of the tickets, but just 58% of cash is on the over. So big bets have come in on this over. Very low total. Very low total. In the Niagara loss, their third straight loss, they shot 28.8% from the field and 25% from three. It was abysmal. Also, Niagara won at Fairfield back on January 6th, 77-69 as 3.5-point dogs. And that was the shoe was on the other foot. Fairfield shot just 31.8% from the field and 12.5% from three in that loss. Do you agree with perceived bigger bets, sharper action on Fairfield? Bobano, the floor is yours.
Yeah, it's one of those situations, again, where we talk about it so often in this conference that the road teams are so often the way to go. I mean, and in this matchup, you look at it, Niagara needed overtime to win at Fairfield earlier this year. Before that, Fairfield won 73-53 at home against Niagara. Last year at Niagara, it was 81-71 for Fairfield. So Fairfield's actually been a tough out here for Niagara in recent games. I think that probably has the chance to continue here tonight in this game. And this is another one where the total, 124. Gosh, we're not asking a lot for this game to go over the total. Look at Fairfield's last 3 games. They've gone over the total. They were a dead nuts under team, but I talked about it last week on this show. I think I was on the Marist Fairfield over on the card last week. Jimmy, you got the records, obviously. I know I was. Fairfield Marist over. That was one of my plays last week. I said the total's just too low right now with the way Fairfield's picked up their offensive game a little bit. I feel that's way here. It's only 124. We're not asking for a shootout between these two teams. So I like the dog and I like the over. We'll make both of them official here for this game. The revenge spot. I love those revenge spots too, where it's a road underdog. They lost at home, especially a tough game like that in overtime. And look, Niagara's not in good form right now. They haven't played as well the last few games. They're in a bit of a slide right now late in the season. So I'm going to go with Fairfield here, +2, -105 at Sports Interaction. And we'll also take over 124, -110 at Bet365.
Fairfield +2. What was the juice on that? Regular?
-105.
-105. And then the over 124. What was the juice?
-110.
-110. Huh. Interesting. I'm with you with Fairfield, but I was leaning towards an under in this one. But it's a low total, a very low total. But I can stay off of the total if you're going to be on the over. But I will put that.
Hey, to your point there, Troy Torrance, I had a bet on Niagara last Friday on this show against Mount St. Mary's, and the best player on the court did not close that game against Mount St. Mary's. They're not in good form right now. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Purple Eagles. I mean, blown out by Iona. They lose to Mount St. Mary's. They pretty much lost wire to wire against Marist as well last week. Now, both of those were on the road, but the home court's hasn't been terrible, but I don't like the form right now. Fairfield's live to me tonight.
Let's head over to the A10 action, 7 p.m. Eastern. Richmond Spiders 14-14, 7-8 in conference at VCU Rams 21-7, 12-3 in conference. We are in Richmond, Virginia, which I have had the pleasure of going to. It's fun. They have this restaurant. I got to remember the restaurant. It was absolutely spectacular. It felt like some type of a peyote house in the early 1900s. It was fucking magic. I'll remember it for anyone close to Richmond because it was like one of the coolest restaurants I've been to in the last 10 years. Let's get to work here for Richmond VCU. And this game means a lot. This game means a lot to both squads here. Let's take a look at the movement here. We have VCU opening up at -10. It's dropped to -9. That's over at Pinnacle. Let's get over to Bet Online, opening up at -9.5. It got down to -8.5. So it's sitting at 9 as well. From a total standpoint, it opened up at 133.5. It's gone up a half point to 134. Officer 50 Yashala also has Fairfield as well on that spot. All right, let's move over to the cash flow here for Richmond VCU. 3,260 tickets in. So the Sports Insights line value today, there are 4 teams that have clearly the most line value on the board. Of the games, we are talking about 3 of them at least. So the most line value on the entire board is ODU. Old Dominion, which doesn't surprise me. The second most line value on the card is Richmond, and the market moving towards them. It is a public spot at this point. Now, there's just 3,260 tickets in, but we have 60% of the tickets on Richmond and 84% of the cash. So big bet's also coming on Richmond. 89% of the tickets on the over, and we have no cash flow on that one. Don Play, what up, my man? Richmond coming in off their second win in 3 games, 81-78 at home over St. Louis on Tuesday night as a pick'em. VCU coming in off their 3rd straight win, 88-63 at St. Joe's on Tuesday as 5.5-point favorites. It's a very easy victory for them. They shot 52.5% from the field, 57.9% from 3. VCU won at Richmond, 74-62 back on January 20th. They were a 1-point dog in that game. That wasn't too long ago, and they won convincingly. Will Richmond have an answer tonight? Bobano, do you agree with the perceived sharp action on the Spiders? Take it away.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they do. We'll have to wait and see if they're able to have that response that they need. Richmond's been just a weird team for me this year. They've been all over the map. They're 14-14 is a perfect record for them. No question about that. They did have a nice comeback win against St. Louis. I think that was partially a St. Louis meltdown in that game. But the one thing I've noticed about Richmond here is a team that had struggled to break out of the 60s in terms of their offense for a large part of the conference season. Their offense has picked it up. You know, they've scored 74, 105 in the loss to George Washington, 81 against a pretty good St. Louis team. You know, in their last game, they picked it up a little bit on offense. We've seen overs head-to-head with these 2 teams, 2 straight. And even the one that was under before that, I believe it got to 134. And I think as far as this total is concerned, it's right in that range. I think the over could get there. It might be close to the number, but that's what I like. I'll make that official here rather than a side. You know, Richmond is starting to play a little bit better, but VCU, they beat them by 12 at Richmond earlier this year. It is a revenge spot for Richmond, but you know, on the road, I don't like enough what I've seen out of Richmond to take them plus the points. You know, you look at the UMass game, lose by 9 on the road, blown out at Dayton, lose at George Washington, lose to LaSalle as road favorites. I mean, it's not exactly a road track record that I like in terms of Richmond. So I'm off the side. VCU rather, even though Richmond's in revenge, I think VCU is just flat out the much better team. They probably win. I don't feel comfortable laying quite this many points with them. I'm just going to go with the total here at Unibet. We will lock it in here over 133.5. Actually, at FanDuel, over 133.5 minus 110.
Urbano on the over 133.5 at minus 110. 133. It opened at 133.5 Bet Online. They've moved it to 134. Might be a great spot. Billy Friedrich, it was about 12 years ago, 13 years ago. I'm looking at the pictures of the Roosevelt. I'll figure out where it was because it was absolutely a spectacular place. And Troy Torrance saying doing research analysis on spots where I believe books are trying to trap sharps by moving line. Interesting. I'll be interested to hear your thought process. Troy Torrance says Ohio State yesterday, the most recent example. Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear that. I mean, what upset me about being on Ohio State was just that the clear play was LSU the day before, you know, where I do not think the books are trying to trap the sharps. I just think a lot of people didn't have the balls to bet LSU, and I didn't, even though the sharps were all over them. And then I was making up for it the next day, and it's a mistake. And I even said it out loud on the show, and I still made that mistake. Upsetting here. But Bobano on the over 133.5 in Richmond VCU. I really am interested in. I mean, these these campuses are 6 miles apart. I mean, this is a highly intense basketball game between Richmond and VCU, and I kind of want the dog first half. Here. Their season's on the line, and I don't know if I can do it, but I'm certainly leaning towards Richmond in the first half in this one, especially after VCU coming off such an easy game. Richmond coming off a tough home win over St. Louis and got the job done in a close spot. Maybe the points are going to help long term. I don't know. I'm going to need more time on it. It's certainly not going to be a double up spot. I would have to pick between first half and full game. And obviously, I'm concerned when all I see is VCU. VCU by double digits, says Billy Friedrich. Equanimous saying VCU rolls. So not one person saying Richmond. All right, let's move on. And we head over to the Sun Belt. We're going to have one game in the Sun Belt. Then we're going to come back to the Sun Belt for the later games, 9 p.m. South Alabama spot. But we're going to go into the Sun Belt next. Sun Belt action, and then we're going to have back-to-back games in the A-Sun. So let's get to work. Sun Belt action, 7 p.m. Eastern. Marshall Thundering Herd, 24-6, 13-4 in conference at ODU Monarchs, 18-11, 10-7 in conference. We just spoke about Old Dominion having the full line movement here. We're in Chartway Arena, Norfolk, Virginia. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Here we go. Marshall ODU. We have Marshall opening up at Pinnacle -4. They're now -3. So 1 point move towards ODU at Penny. Be curious to see where Bet Online opened it. Bet Online opened it at 4 as well. And they've moved ODU all the way down to 2.5. Through that third point is important if you want them. A lot of books are still have the third point. A lot of books do. So you can easily find a +3 if that's what you want. We talked about the full line value on ODU. 70% of the tickets, 4,585 tickets in, 70% of them are on ODU, and 96% of the cash. That's a little nervous. At least the books are showing some sign of concern. 68% of the tickets on the under. We don't have a cash flow there. Marshall comes in off their fifth straight win, 92-83 at James Madison on Wednesday as 1.5 point dogs. So they have two road games in 3 nights. They had Thursday off, and then they have another road game here. And they beat ODU 73-65 at home on January 14th. Didn't cover. They were 10-point favorites, but they won. ODU coming off their second straight win in 5th and 6th games, 69-64 at home over a tough Southern Miss squad on Wednesday as 1.5 point dogs. Lee Davis leaning towards Marshall. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Little Sun Belt, Fun Belt action, Thundering Herd at the Monarchs.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Old Dominion team. I didn't think they were a great team this year early on, but they're going into a late season surge right now. They've played better basketball of late, no doubt about that. That was a solid win for them against Southern Miss the other night. We'll see if they carry that over, but no, they're playing good right now. Old Dominion covering numbers. It's a dangerous spot here for Marshall, but Marshall's locked in the first place tie with Southern Miss, for first place in this conference. So it's going to probably come down to those two teams. UL Lafayette's still alive, 12-5, but it's mostly Marshall and Southern Miss in a head-to-head battle here. So Marshall wants to keep pace. They've won 5 in a row, 7 of their last 8. They've played outstanding. This is a great offensive team. They play extremely fast. They play at warp speed. It's always been that way under Dan D'Antoni, brother, of course, of Mike D'Antoni, who's been coaching this team for years. So I don't want to step in front of Marshall now, only at 3, but I respect what Old Dominion's done. They've played better here the last few games. They still have a good home record, 11-4 straight up this year here on their home floor. But I might look at this game over. Marshall has been trending that way significantly, and they've managed to speed up teams that don't want to play that way. And Old Dominion does want to play slower, but Marshall's been able to get their preferred pace. I think there's no let up for them. They're battling a Southern Miss right now for the top spot in this conference. So they know they've got to keep the pedal down here in this game. And it is worth noting, too, when you look at the schedule here for Marshall, they've played some tough games recently. There's no question about that. And if you look at what's coming up for them, or they've got ODU here. They had beaten Southern Miss 89-67 earlier this year, which is significant because if these teams are tied, Marshall probably gets the tiebreaker because they beat Southern Miss head-to-head. So it's a big game for Marshall if they want to be the number one seed in the conference tournament and win the regular season title here in this one. I like over here. That's what we'll stick with at 149, over 149 minus 112 at Pinnacle.
Over 149 minus 112 for Bo Bano. Much love to you, DC Capper. Thank you for sharing your big spots that you're attacking. I will share them again with everybody. DJ Big Boss here in our chat. We love you, Big Boss. Can't wait to hang out with you, man, in San Antonio. The boss is in the building. And if you want to run with the boss, you come down to Southtown 101. Run with our guy, DJ Big Boss. All right, let's get back to work here. Bobana's on the over 149 minus 112. And I'm still interested in ODU. Don't put up the next game yet, Jose. And thank you for doing such a great job, Jose, as well. Bobano, can we just go back very quickly to this Richmond VCU game? I mean, we got these two campuses 6 miles apart, a 10-minute drive apart. This game is huge. It looks like there's sharp money on Richmond. Not one person in the chat likes Richmond. They're all on VCU. I feel like Richmond is capable of being in this basketball game, in a game that means enormous amounts to them. If you had a free bet on the side, and I know that you only moved on the total, what would it be at 9? Would it be Richmond or VCU?
They've just been horrible, though, on the road. I can't get over that. I mean, the road games have been pathetic for Richmond, and that's the tough part. I mean, if I saw signs of them playing some okay basketball on the road, I'd like it. But, geez, I mean, UMass isn't even great this year. They lost that game by 9. They get absolutely destroyed at Dayton. LaSalle is mediocre, and they lost to them when they were favored on the road. I mean, it's just been such a rough go of it for for Richmond on the road. And other than now, VCU has had a couple slip-ups at home, St. Bonnie and Dayton. They were favored in those two games. They lost outright. You're right about the rivalry aspect of this. It's not been a great season for Richmond, but there's something about playing at VCU that should get you fired up, should get you excited to play. There's no question. It is worth noting last year, VCU beat Richmond in Richmond, and then VCU returned the favor and laid the smackdown on Richmond 77-57. I don't hate the ideology of taking Richmond based on it's a rivalry. They're getting a healthy amount of points here against this VCU team. But, man, they just have not shown up on the road. They have not been any good recently in these A-10 road games, and that's ultimately what's going to hold me off.
Well put. A great breakdown. All right, let's head over to the Asun for back-to-back games. We are going to start with Lipscomb. The Bisons 18-12, 10-7 in conference, traveling to Stetson Hatters in DeLand, Florida. 17-11, 12-5 in conference. We head to the Edmund Center for this one. Let me get this up and add them for us. Lipscomb, Stetson. The Stetson opening up at -3 at Pinnacle. They're now -2. Let's go over to BetOnline. BetOnline opened them -2.5 and all the way down to -1. That's a big difference. Wow. So let's see what they've done with them. Well, I guess the money line's different because it would have come out later, so let's not do that. Come out to take a look at the total. This total opened up at 148. It's now 148.5. It did drop to 147.5, but now it's at 148.5. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this spot here. We have, how is it? Sorry. Here we go. They've given line value to Lipscomb. About 20% line value. 1,706 tickets in, 14% of the tickets, 20% of cash on Lipscomb. 56% of the tickets and 70% of cash on the over. So it looks like some bigger bets have come in on this over, and it just moved to 148.5 just recently. Lipscomb coming off its second straight win, 73-64 at Florida Gulf Coast as 2.5-point favorites on Wednesday. Stetson coming off their third straight win, 76-51 at home over Austin P on Wednesday as 10.5-point favorites. And Stetson won at Lipscomb, 86-80. Back on December 30th, and they were 7-point dogs in that one. And Lipscomb struggled. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Lipscomb Bisons at Stetson Hatters.
And that's exactly why I'm not betting Stetson here, because Lipscomb's in revenge, and it's that long-term angle. Road underdog in revenge for an loss earlier this year at home, especially an overtime loss. Lipscomb remembers that, and the money's pouring in on Lipscomb here. This opened at 3.5. It's down to 1.5 now. So there's been a lot here on Lipscomb. But at the same time, though, Stetson's playing their form. Stetson right now is really good. 6-1 straight up, 6-1 against the spread. They're rolling right now. I cashed a ticket with Stetson against Austin P a couple nights ago. We mentioned it, Connor Mack and I, on the Net Profit show, that Austin P was very shorthanded in that game, and Stetson's rolling. They just blow the doors off Austin P, the Governors, and that's exactly what happened in that game. So that's why I'm not going to be on Stetson. The revenge angle does seem like it's meaningful, impactful revenge. A team that lost at home earlier this year in overtime to Stetson. Now they're road dogs in the rematch. Like I said, that's a long-term good winning angle here in college basketball. And I think that's got the chance to continue here in this game tonight. You've got two really good free throw shooting teams. Lipscomb plays fast, but their offense has been kind of up and down. They play fast, but they're not always efficient. But I think they could do some damage here. Stetson still only got the 9th-ranked defensive efficiency in the Atlantic Sun. Stetson's offensive efficiency, though, in the Atlantic Sun is skyrocketed all the way up to number 1. They are the number 1 offensive team in terms of efficiency in the A-Sun right now. And if you look at the points they put up, in recent games, you understand why. So here we go again, Ian Cameron, Ian over. It's another one for me here, 147. 140. Yeah, it is actually 147.5 right now at Bookmaker /Chris with over 147.5. Lipscomb Stetson.
Was that regular VIG minus 110?
Minus 110. Yep.
You got it. Billy Friedrich said Lipscomb lost to a horrible North Alabama team 2 weeks ago. I don't think North Alabama is.
I definitely look.
Horrible.
If you're betting current form, you bet Stetson. There's no question. Stetson's playing better right now, but that angle is like. Very hard for me to go against that angle. It is. So that's why I'm off. I'd lean Stetson. I'd still take, especially now when you're getting a better number with Stetson than you got at the opener. I would lean Stetson now, but I'm going to just stay away.
All right, let's move on, but we stay in the A-Sun. 7 p.m. Eastern Kentucky Colonels 8-12, 11-6 in conference at the Jacksonville Dolphins, 13-5, 6-11 in conference. We're at Swisher Gymnasium in Jacksonville, Florida. We just talked about Jacksonville on Wednesday. They're coming in off their second straight loss, 63-61 at home to Bellarmine on Wednesday as 4-point favorites. This is the first meeting between these two teams of the year. Let's take a look at the line history here for it. We have Eastern Kentucky opening up at a +1. They're now -1. So we'll see what that did on the money line. Nothing. Really no change there. Let's go over to Bet Online and see what they've done with this one as they put it out about 5 hours earlier. We have opening up as a pick'em. Pick'em at the pick'em had Eastern Kentucky at -115. Now Eastern Kentucky's +1 at -119. So not a lot of movement here in this one. This total opened up at 134.5, which is where it is right now. We did see it drop all the way down to 133, but it's back at 134.5. There's my guy LJ from H-Town. Noli knows. Great guy. Nutflush Allen, OG's hanging with us. Let's go over to the cash flow. Eastern Kentucky, Jacksonville, 1,732 tickets in. Slight line value to Eastern Kentucky. 35% of the tickets on Eastern Kentucky and 41% of the cash. No help with totals information. And Eastern Kentucky coming up their second straight loss, 77-64 at North Florida on Wednesday as 2-point favorites. This has got to be an angry group. I mean, they're letting this opportunity slip atop the leaderboard in the A-Sun. And, but Jacksonville coming off a second straight loss as well. So take it away for us here, Bobano, Eastern Kentucky, Jacksonville.
Yeah, this one I'm going to pass on when it's all said and done. I think when you look at it here, Eastern Kentucky's kind of scuffling right now, but so is Jacksonville. They've lost 6 of their last 7. This is two teams kind of going in opposite directions right now. All of a sudden, Eastern Kentucky forgot how to score in the second half of their last game against North Florida, losing 77-64. So we'll see if they can bounce back here in this game. Normally, I want to bet, Eastern Kentucky game's over, but, their offense has kind of fallen off a little bit. And on the Jacksonville side of things, this is not a very good shooting team. They've been trending under here in their last few games. So, totals wise, I think it could go either way. Sidewise, it could go either way. So nothing for me here.
I have some interest in Eastern Kentucky. I'm going to take a little bit more time on it. All right, let's head over to the WAC. Seattle University Redhawks, 18-10, 9-6 in conference. At the Grand Canyon Lopes, 18-10, 9-6 in conference. We're at Grand Canyon University Arena in Phoenix, Arizona, home of our friend Clint McLean, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast. Let's take a look at what we are dealing with here in this one. Seattle U Grand Canyon. Here we go. Let's take a look. Line history wise, this opened up with Grand Canyon -5. They're now -6. That's over at Penny. Over at Bet Online, here we go. This opened up at -4.5, and now it's -6.5. This got as high as -7. I wonder if Bet365 has this. No, they have it at 6.5, but they also moved it from -7. So this moved from 5 to 7. Hit high as 7 at 11:06 this morning over at Bet365. Let's go back to Bet Online and see what they've done with the total here. This total opened up at 138.5, and it's now 140, a 1.5 point move towards the over. We have 1,757 tickets in, 28% of the tickets and 34% of cash on Seattle, but market clearly moving towards Grand Canyon. 67% of tickets and 75% of cash on the over. So it looks like there's some sharp action there. Shogun Soup says Grand Canyon has some killers. Let's take a look at this spot. Seattle coming in off their second straight loss, 67-58 at home to Utah Valley on Saturday as 2.5 point dogs. They shot 30.3% from the field and 21.7% from three. That's just atrocious. Grand Canyon last played a Div 1 team last Friday, a week ago. They had a game against the, Div 3 college squad a couple days ago. They won 100 and something to 38. But they last played Div 1 team. They beat Abilene Christian 94-84 at home last Friday as 6-point favorites. We talked a lot about that game. There was sharp action on Grand Canyon in that game, and they covered. It was a wildly interesting basketball game against Abilene Christian because they lost the turnover battle 17-3 in that basketball game. But they won because they shot 66.7% from field and 71.4% from three. Maybe that's what Shogun talking about. These guys can hit their shots. I mean, that's unbelievable. And they lost at Seattle on February 11th, 63-58 as 2-point dogs. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Seattle U, Grand Canyon.
Yeah, just the over for me here. I mean, these are two teams that are trending that way. I think we can probably get over this number when it's all said and done. Both teams are very capable offensive teams, especially Seattle. Seattle can really get the offense cranked up, and what I like is that they're pretty balanced. I know lately they've had some worse offensive games, but I think here against this Grand Canyon team, they can get back to shooting the ball a little bit better. We do see, especially on their home court lately, we've seen Grand Canyon, their defense kind of erode, and they've been a team I've been riding overs with of late. Certainly Seattle's form, like I say, is not in all that good right now with a 2-6 record straight up. Only 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 games. So they've had a tough time. Last year, these teams played at Grand Canyon. It was 78-66 in favor of Grand Canyon. The game ended up going over the total. I think it's probably something similar. The money on Grand Canyon, I get it. Seattle's in a rough way right now. Grand Canyon probably wins. It's a matter of, do you trust them laying 6, 6.5? But certainly would have to lean to the home favorite given the form of Seattle right now. But I will bet over here, 140 in this one.
Over 140. What's the juice on that?
Okay, let me just see here. Let me just double check. Hold on one sec. Where are we here? There's so many games here. There we go. Seattle Grand Canyon. Just double check. Yeah, over 140 minus 1. Oh, sorry. It's actually over 139.5 minus 115 at FanDuel. There we go.
Sorry, say that again.
Over 139.5 minus 115 at FanDuel.
Over 139.5 at minus 115. We have Bobano locked in. And great information here from our Andrew G. Says senior night for Grand Canyon. No football team, only basketball. It's a big night for them. And they've got revenge in mind. You have to think Seattle's going to shoot better than they've been shooting.
But they're better than they've shown offensively. Yeah. This is not going to continue, and I can't. This was a team that was lighting it up earlier, and even earlier in conference play, what Seattle was doing was, shooting the lights, or not at least shooting a lot better than they are right now. So I think there's better coming up for this team offensively.
All right.
And Grand Canyon's been allowing points at home, 84 to Abilene, 77 to Rio Grande, 83 to Stephen F. Austin. So this could be the night for Seattle.
I like that look on the over here. I like it as well. It's been bouncing all over the place, but clearly the sharp money was all over it because this opened at 138.5 at Bet Online, sitting at 140 now, but it got up to 141.
It's a big move. Yeah, big move.
But it got up to 141 in 12 minutes.
Yep.
So that's sharp money, you would think. I like that look. And then if I think that Seattle can shoot better in this game, the team total may interest me. But I'll have to take a closer look at Seattle team total over. Okay, Bobano's moved on the over 139.5. All right, 3 games left before we get into NBA. We have South Alabama Jaguars back in the Sun Belt. South Alabama 16-14, 9-8 in conference at Louisiana Raging Cajuns 22-7, 12-5 in conference. And we have reached the college basketball play of the day for our Ron Crawford. The spreadsheet play of the day is on South Alabama +5. The Cajun Dome, Lafayette, Louisiana. Let's see what we are dealing with here, line history-wise for this one. Here we go. We have South Alabama opening up at +4.5 at Pinnacle, and that's where they stand now. Let's go over to Bet Online. Bet Online, this opened up at 4.5. It got up to 5 immediately, again, in within 12 minutes, but it moved right back to 4.5 at 5:45 p.m., and that's where it stands. Totals-wise, this opened up at 144.5, and it's up to 146.5. The initial move, though, was to the under. Went down to 143 before it climbed. Let's take a look at the cash flow here for this South Alabama spot. We have 1,477 tickets in, and there's really no help. 48% of tickets, 51% of cash on South Alabama. 75% of tickets on the over, but no cash flow there. Nupflush says on senior night, make sure it's a full house. He said, we had a senior night here, and that's Cal Baptist, and a few days ago, and only had 40% of the seats were filled, and the favorite lost. That's interesting and very important, Nutflush. Great point there. Billy Friedrich says, I like the Cajuns here laying the points. Jake Burns says, give me the Cajuns. South Alabama coming off their 5th straight win, 76-67 at Texas State on Wednesday as 2.5-point favorites. It was impressive. They lost at home to Louisiana, 79-76 back on January 14th as 2.5-point dogs. The Raging Cajuns coming off an 85-74 win over Arkansas State Wednesday as 14.5-point favorites. Take it away here, Bobano, South Alabama, Louisiana.
Yeah, this is a side and total for me. I like South Alabama. This is that angle again with this game where we have a team that was favored at home in the first game, or at least was at home in the first game, lost, and now they're a road underdog in revenge here. And it was a close loss the first time. Let's keep in mind, ULL only beat them at South Alabama 79-76. It was a very close game down to the wire. It went over the total, by the way, as well. I think South Alabama, I don't know if there's a team that's in better form right now in the Sun Belt right now than South Alabama. And look, they didn't start the season this way, but sometimes you just get red hot. If this team is one of ththose teams where if we get to this conference tournament, you're going to get a good price on South Alabama because they were a mediocre team all season, but they've clicked. Things have come together. They're playing their best basketball. They've won 5 in a row coming into tonight and covered 5 in a row. They're playing their best ball. They've beaten up. They beat Southern Miss, who's one of the better teams in this conference, 85-54. Like the Jags have figured it out. They're playing great basketball. UL Lafayette's a good team, but to me, this team's playing too well not to take them right now. They are rolling right now, playing great basketball. I like the South Alabama side here in this game, catching points in revenge mode for a close loss at home to the Cajuns earlier this season. So that's the way we're going to go about it here. I'm just looking to see the numbers here. There we go. Plus 4.5, minus 106 at Pinnacle. So that's South Alabama plus 4.5, minus 106 at Pinnacle. And we're also going to take over 146, minus 110 at DraftKings.
And I can find you a -101 on that 4.5. What was the total that you're getting?
Over 146, -110 DK.
Over 146 at -110. I like the look. Both you guys, you and Ron Crawford, are on with South Alabama. I like it. I like it quite a bit. So I'm gonna get the asterisks there. I like that. I think I will roll with you on that one. All right, let's move on to Mountain West. We have 2 games in the Mountain West before we get into NBA. So let's get going. 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Air Force Falcons 14-15, 5-11 in conference at UNLV. Running Rebels 16-11, 5-10 in conference. We're at the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's go to the line history here for this one. We have Air Force at Pinnacle opening up at 9.5, now 8.5 point favorites. A 1 point move towards them. Also, big shout out to our guy Wham Bam in the house. Want to hang with Trot Wham? Come to San Antonio, baby. Come to San Antonio. Okay. Bet Online opened this up at 9.5, and it's at 9. So both books moving towards the Falcons in some form or another. From a total perspective, this opened up at 140, and it's dropped 3 points down to 137. Cash-wise for this one, we have 2,674 tickets in. They've given Air Force about 25% line history or line value, maybe a little bit less than that. 45% of the tickets and 76% of the cash on the Falcons. So bigger bets coming in on them. Market slightly moving towards them. 77% of tickets and 84% of cash on the under. And we see the market moving towards the under. These teams haven't met this year. We have Air Force coming off a 74-69 loss at home to Fresno State. That was after they went into Wyoming and beat them 75-69. UNLV's lost 3 straight, but against tough competition. They lose to San Diego State on the road. It was a pretty ugly loss at home to San Jose State, but then they go out on the road and they play Boise State tough, losing by 4. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Is this too big of a spread for the Running Rebels?
It might be. It might be, but man, I've just had, not the greatest timing with Air Force. You take them, they don't play well, and you maybe fade them, and they do. I mean, you just don't know what you're always going to get. They've been more bad than good on the road. I mean, they did cover against New Mexico, but they still lost by 8. They lost by 20 at Nevada. They lost by 15 at Utah State. They did beat Wyoming, but Wyoming is just decimated. They lost as favorites at home to Fresno in their last game. UNLV's off 3 straight losses. The one thing that does concern me is, they're probably overdue to smack somebody and play great here in this game tonight. But at the same time, the home record's been very dubious. They lost as 6.5 point favorites outright to San Jose State. They lost as 9.5 point favorites outright to Fresno State. And these aren't great basketball teams. So, and the UNLV destroyed Air Force at home 78-44 last year, but Air Force beat them at Air Force before that 69-62. You actually look at the last 2 meetings here at UNLV between these 2 teams, and we saw Air Force get beaten by 34 in one game and 28 in the other. I mean, this is one of those games where I could see anything. I could see UNLV winning close game, blowing them out, and I could even see Air Force covering and hanging close. So I'm off the game pass.
Yeah, I have this vividness bias from that game against Nevada for the Air Force. When I was on the Air Force, I thought it was a letdown spot for Nevada. It was a 46-45 game. And then we're talking with 7-8 minutes left, Nevada goes on a run and wins by 20. It makes me think that if I wanted Air Force, I would probably only take them first half. If I wanted to. And I guess, coming off of a loss, I could see them playing a little better. I'm interested in Air Force, although I've just not been able to read them right this year. I've faded them when they played well. And earlier in the year, I had a good read on them, but last month I've lost it. I'm interested in Air Force. All right, let's move on to the final game here on our college basketball card before we get into NBA with Dutch Boy Fresh. This is the late game of the night, the D-Gen special, 11 p.m. Eastern, Friday night, 11 p.m. Eastern. I would like to have action on this one, but I won't force it. Nevada Wolfpack, 21-7, 11-4 in conference at Fresno State Bulldogs, 10-17, 6-10 in conference. Take a look at the line history for this one. We have, here we go. Oh, shit. God, can I say that? Yes, I did. Okay, here we go. Line history-wise here for this, we have Nevada opening up at Penny as 4-point favorites. Let's move to 3.5. Let's take a look and see what Bet Online did. So a half-point move towards Fresno State coming off a victory. At Bet Online, they opened this up at 3.5, and that's where it is right now. And also, though, at Bet Online, they moved this down to 2.5. So it's come back to 3.5. Came back at 9 in the morning. So very different here. Totals wise, this opened up at 131. It's dropped 1 point to 130. Take a look at the cash flow. We have 4,229 tickets in. And this is a spot. This is the third highest line value according to Sports Insights on the entire card. And it is on Fresno State. And 46% of the tickets are on Fresno State, but 96% of the cash. So big bets have come in on Fresno State. It's 50-50 for the total, but 67% of the cash is on the under. Nevada bounced back from its loss to Utah State by beating up on San Jose State at home, 66-51. Fresno State snapped their 3-game losing streak with that 74-69 win at Air Force. They played Nevada recently. They played Nevada on the 10th of February at Nevada. And Nevada took care of business, 77-66. Take it away for us here, Bo Bano. Final game on the card, Mountain West at the Save Mart Center in Fresno, California, Wolfpack Bulldogs.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Yurkovich, I would do a Pub Hub, NBA Pub Hub later today. So if you want my NBA, I'll be on that, 4 p.m. Eastern. This will be my first NBA Pub Hub show since the All-Star break. So, yeah, I won't be on this show for NBA, but I'll be on that one. This game here, I kind of do lean to Fresno with where the money's going. I don't know if I have utmost faith more than anything in Nevada in this spot, going on the road after that big win against San Jose State, because, they lost at Utah State on the road. They did have a win at New Mexico on the road, but they also lost at UNLV 68-62. They blown out at point. Like, the road track record of Nevada's been nowhere close to what they've done at home. 14-0 at home, 5-6, losing road record for Nevada. And now they're laying road points in this game. I think that's tricky. Fresno is obviously had a pretty difficult season, but if you actually go back to the start of February, they won at UNLV as dogs. They won and covered at home against San Jose State. They lost at Nevada the first meeting by 11, 77-66, although they hung around for a while. The last 2 home games, they could have won both. They lost by 3 to Colorado State, by 2 to San Diego State, and what was a rock fight defensively. I think this is going to be one of those games where if Nevada does win, it's got that feel of a one-possession game. Because, look, the last 2 games were 3 points or less. The last 2 home games for Fresno that they lost, Colorado State, San Diego State, both of them, they lost by 3 points or less. They were right there at the end of the night. So, yeah, I will go ahead and get in on Fresno here. Plus 3.5, minus 110 at DraftKings.
All right, we have a move on Fresno from Bobano. Fresno State, and what was the number that you got?
Plus 3.5, minus 110.
Plus 3.5 at minus 110. Fresno State plus 110. I will, Dwayne. Dwayne, are you on Twitter? Because I might need to reach out to somebody for it. But I remember that you can't make reservations the night of at this place. You need to make reservations in advance. And we made reservations, I think, forget how far in advance, and we only could get later in the evening, but it was absolutely worth it. So let me know, Dwayne, if you're on Twitter, because it was just incredibly cool. And sometimes when you build up a restaurant, it never gets to that point, but this was just really cool, and it was right in the neighborhood. And the Roosevelt looked somewhat similar, but they had booths. So I'm gonna take a little bit. Let me know if you're on Twitter, Dwayne, so I could just reach out to you that way, which would be easiest. But let me know, Dwayne, or however else to get a hold of you. Okay, let's review all action. I'm interested in your look there on Fresno State as well. Let's review all action in college basketball before we head to NBA with Dutch Boy Fresh. Bobano gets his card started with Seton Hall plus 1.5 at minus 105. Then he's on Siena plus 3 at minus 108 and the over 134 at minus 110. Bobano's on Fairfield plus 2 at minus 105 and he's on the over 124. I was leaning towards the under and may stay off of it now, but I am going to join him with Fairfield. Bobano's on the over 133.5 at -110. I kind of like Richmond in this spot. We did get some very interesting information just a little while ago from Ricky Patel. He's saying the Richmond coach is out for the year with heart surgery. He says VCU is a coaching edge, and Richmond coming off an emotional comeback win for the coach, and that was at home over St. Louis. So maybe they expended too much energy. Thank you for that information, because that's what we need, as much information as possible. So I'll have to look into it a little more. I'm going to be on ODU. Bobano's on the over 149 in Marshall ODU. And I have some interest in that, but I want to be on ODU. I'm going to be on Lipscomb first half and Lipscomb Stetson. The over 147.5 is a Bobano look. Then I have some interest in Eastern Kentucky, but I want to take a little bit more time on it. Bobano's on the over 139.5 in Seattle Grand Canyon. Seniors, now I need to put some more time into it, but I'm very interested in that over as well. And have some interest in the Seattle team total over. I just expect them to shoot better. And I probably expect them to shoot better early, unless I've got to go over their shooting numbers previous to this game, that last game against Utah Valley when they couldn't hit anything. Bobano's on Alabama, plus 4.5 -101 in the over 146. Spreadsheet play today, South Alabama. And I want to get involved in South Alabama. I want to be involved in the Air Force as well. And Bobano's on Fresno State plus 3.5, and I'm interested in that one. We've got to move on. Christopher Comentini, I apologize. He wanted to know about if you like the over in Kennesaw State, Central Arkansas. We don't have time. We got to move into NBA. But I can tell you here that 57% of the tickets and 94% of cash are on that over. Did you look at that over in Kennesaw State, Central Arkansas? Yeah,
it's a play of mine. Yeah. It is. I agree with it. They both play fast. I don't trust either team defensively. And a lot of people clearly agree, because this total's gone up like 4.5 points in this game. But should see a lot of points here in this one. Kennesaw, is, like I said, they play fast. Central Arkansas, a lot of their totals too have trended over. They went through a little understretch there, but last game was Jacksonville State, or a couple nights ago. What did that game have? 172. So yeah, should be a lot of points there.
I like it. Bobano, thank you for sharing your hard work with us, my friend. Go out there and get that cash. Follow Bobano on Twitter at Bobano, and check him out on NBA Pub Hub at 4 p.m. Eastern. Bobano, I'll review your NHL action at the end of the show. Any last words for the Cappers supporting the show?
No, stay tuned for Dutch for the NBA portion on this show. I'll be on with the Pub Hub. First Pub Hub for me after the All-Star break. It'll be 4 p.m. today with Ski and Billy Briz. So looking forward to that. And that's it for me today, because it's going to be Cabby with Connor Mack on Net Profit at 5 p.m. Eastern. And check out our Saturday morning show, College Basketball Pub Hub, 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Cab, Connor, and me. Looking forward to it. Good luck, everybody, this weekend. See ya.
There he is, Bobano. We go from very cold and snowy and shitty Hamilton, Ontario, to the place where we all want to end up, where my parents met, Las Vegas, Nevada. We welcome to the show the freshest capper in the business, Dutch Boy Fresh. Dutchy, what's good?
Jimmy the motherfucking bag. Salute to you. All the real ones holding it down in the chat. You already know it's all love. The NBA is a hell of a drug. And you're looking at the plug. Yeah, man. Good to be back with you, Jimmy. Extended break. Good to get back here on a fresh Friday. Get to the black, my man. Get to the motherfucking black. Let's do it.
Let's do it. We need a day today, and we've just a man to deliver it. Let's get right to work. No further talk. Let's get into the capping. NBA, first one on the card, 7 p.m. Eastern. The New York Knicks, 33-27, 17-12 on the road at the Washington Wizards, 28-30, 14-12 at home, Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. It's been a long time since the Wizards had hope. They have hope now. I was going over, thinking about this team. What a wild run they had with Agent Zero. And I was watching Agent Zero talking about Crittenden. The the guy who brought the gun, and he's in jail, right? He
Yeah.
he went to LA and got down with the Crips, and
Got a murder beef, no?
yeah, man, yeah, man. And Gilbert Arenas still talks to him all the time. And Gilbert Arenas, acting like he's just a good buddy, like a big brother, It was so shocking watching Arenas talk about it. He was just like, oh, yes, my guy. I look out for him. I'm like, what do you mean? What the hell? What are you talking about? You fucking ruined his life.
Exactly.
Knicks 4-1 over their past 5, playing at a slow pace, 94.50 possessions a game. But that was before the break. Washington 4-1, playing at a pace at 97.30 possessions a game. Let's take a look at the line history and then go into the cash flow. First off, there's been a big move towards the New York Knicks. They opened up at Pinnacle +2. They're now -2. Let's take a look at what that was on the money line. Opening up at -101, now -127. So a 26-cent move towards the New York Knicks. Now, we had a look from Dan Kelly. He talked to us about moving on the Wizards to make the playoffs about 2 weeks ago when they were +310. They were available +184 last night. I took a long look at them last night at +175. And I was like, you know what? I wonder what that number would be if they lose to the Knicks here. And I think that's worth me checking out. I was like, because they have a lot of home games coming up. I believe they have 14 home games over their final 23 games, something like that. And I was like, if they could lose here, then maybe I'll get a better number. I probably should have moved it to +310. I already have the Raptors to make the playoffs at a big plus number. Well, it's not that big. I think it was like 260. Actually, it was a little less than that, but it was over +2. Let's go into the total here and see what we are dealing with. The total opening up at 227. It's dropped 2 points to 225. Cash-wise, we have 11,922 tickets in. 34% of the tickets and 69% of cash is on the Wizards. Now, the books have no fear with that money. They're opening their arms, clearly opening up their arms to Wizards cash here. 41% of the tickets and 84% cash on the under. The market has moved towards that under. Since December 3rd, these Knicks are 23-14. They're playing good basketball. They won 3 straight going to the break. They beat the Jazz, the Nets, the Hawks. They scored at least 120 in each of those games. Josh Hart is a good pickup. We know he's got a ton of heart and ton of character. No pun intended. I apologize for that. Hart, 51 points in 3 games as a Knick, 9-14 from 3. And also Mitchell Robinson. Missed 14 games due to the right thumb that required surgery. He's been in full contact in practice. We expect him to be in the lineup. Speaking of teams that are playing well, look at Washington. They've won 10 of their last 14 games. Take it away and I forgot DC Capper was on Nevada -3. That does sour my thought on Fresno State a little bit. Take it away for us here, Dutchie. New York Knicks, Washington Wizards.
Yeah, man. Bradley Beal questionable here in this game. Obviously, probably, the number one issue for me here. You want Bradley Beal out there if you're backing the Wizards, and maybe that could be obviously some movement. But I do believe when the Knicks were at +2, they had to be decided to bet. I mean, their value. I do think they're the better team. This is a tough basketball game, though. I think you can make case for both sides. Strong lean here to the Knicks. Definitely like the +2. Didn't bet it, though. They lost at home. The Knickerbockers did on January 18th to the Wizards. So they came into Madison Square Garden and beat them outright as a 5.5-point dog. Beat them by double digits, 11-point win there by the Wizards. So I would expect the Knicks to come and you'd get the best from them, especially Julius Randle kind of having an embarrassing little weekend. Maybe get a game back from him because he's key in this matchup. Is Julius going to have a game? I believe the Knicks win because you know what you're going to get out of Jalen Brunson. He's going to do his thing, but they need Julius to be motherfucking the juice that he has moments to be. But if he's average, I think the Wizards can come in, can get out of there with a W at the house. Very tough game here. From the Wizards' perspective, I believe they're 6-1 against the number the last 7 at the house. They're kind of a gritty basketball team with Kuzma, very streaky. KP, obviously streaky as a motherfucker. And Bradley Beal is actually really steady, but it's just a matter if he's going to be in the lineup. Got some new additions with the Wizards. Got rid of some people as well. No Barton, obviously, who's kind of a disappointment. But the Wizards are just that team, man. I feel like they just stick in basketball games. I think the Knicks should be the play here, but would we really be surprised if they fucked around and lost a basketball game in Washington? I wouldn't be, to be honest with you. They've, they have won the first meeting in Washington by 4 earlier in January as well. So I'd like the Knicks here. but I'm not in a rush to bet them. I know a lot of people like the Knicks first half. I'm not mad at that. And the Knicks have been fucking money. I believe they covered about 24 out of the last 40 basketball games on the road. So the Knickerbockers have been a bet on basketball team outside of Madison Square Garden. But the Wizards, man, they kind of low key, like they're scrappy. And like I mentioned, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if KP and Kuzma and these boys have a game and get a win at that crib. But you would have to expect the Knicks after that, 9-day off, losing at home to the Wizards. You would expect the Knicks to come in. So I understand the line movement from +2 to 1.5.
Yeah, that was well put. Do you agree with the market movement towards the under as well?
No real
play too big of a role.
Yeah, I think that would just be it. I mean, because Bill, like I said, he's the one guy who I think is just a bucket. Kuzma could go for 30 or 13, and it's the same motherfucking thing with KP. If Bradley's out there, it's smooth bucket. So I would expect him being questionable. He missed practice yesterday. He was held out, and I mean, he's saying some things through social media, through the grapevine that I don't know if he's too happy in Washington. Don't mean he's not going to play basketball. I'm just simply saying, he's kind of seems like he's a little tired of the Wizard vibe. I would take it. So, but yeah, man, I would expect the under to, obviously without Bradley Beal, the most consistent offensive player on the court, it would definitely go towards the under.
All right, well, let's run. Oh, there's the restaurant. Sorry. Sorry, the guy was asking, Dwayne was asking. It's La Possum in Richmond, Virginia.
La Possum?
It's so fucking cool. It's like you feel like you're in an opium den in 1910. It is a modern French restaurant, 4.7 out of 5. Sophisticated spin on French cuisine. It's fucking dope, dude. You walk in, you're like, oh, fuck. Pass me some peyote. All right, let's get to work. But that's it. So it's La Possum, L''opossum in Richmond, Virginia. It's fucking dope. I hope you're still watching the show, Dwayne, because get rezos as soon as possible. It pops up. And it's like in a neighborhood, too. It's fucking dope. Richmond, Virginia is way cooler than I thought it'd be. All right, let's move on. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Cleveland Cavaliers 38-24, 13-17 on the road at Atlanta Hawks 29-30, 15-12 at home. State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Cleveland 3-2 over their past 5, including that loss. They had won 4 straight before they lost their final game before the break, and then they lost last night. And sadly, I was on them, and even more sadly, they were up 4 with 5:48 left.
Yeah, I think everybody was on them, Jim. It was a little scary.
Yeah, I didn't. They were saying that in the chat.
I lost a unit on it too. The Sixers got it back from me. Those 2 plays, not to cut you off, but the Cavaliers and the Sixers were pretty much unanimous. And obviously we got out of there with the luck box with the Sixers.
Yeah, because so many at the time our show is on, 96% of cash was on the Sixers. And I was like, well, I'm not comfortable. Or no, it's 99. It was actually 99.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And I was like, you know what? I can't be involved. And then they're down 20. And I'm like, see? And then, of course, they come back and everybody cashes. And I'm just sitting on my couch watching my bankroll drop. S2KO says you can't trust the Cavs down the stretch. And LJ from H-Town says Hawks don't have a coach. Can't bet on that. Not a lot of love for Joe Prunty, I guess. Atlanta 2-3 over their past 5, playing the pace at 102.6 possessions a game. So second half back-to-back, we just discussed it. Let's take a look and see what we are dealing with. Cavs open up plus 101 at minus 105. That's where they are right now. Totals-wise, open up at 225.5, and it's gone up 1.5 to 227. Let's go over to the cash flow in this one. 9,986 tickets in. 73% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on the Cavaliers. It's a lot of money on the Cavaliers for the market not to move. 77% of tickets and 96% of cash on the under. Alfred says NBA is a factory of sadness. What happened to you? What happened to you? Where did Shaq touch you? During the break, we know McMillan was fired, Nate McMillan. The Hawks lost their last 2 games before the break. They've lost 8 of 13, and their defense is just simply non-existent. It's just shocking. They allowed 144 points to the Hornets. I mean, then 122 to the Knicks. This team isn't trying. Are they going to start trying now that Nate's out? Take it away, Dutchie. Cavs.
Yeah,
Hawks.
man. This is one of these games where, you're either gonna look really good or you're gonna look like, like a dumb motherfucker. So, but I'm on Atlanta here, man. I like Atlanta here. I think the new coach, the new vibe. We've seen it plenty of fucking times. They seem to rally around it. Whether there be an issue, a coaching change, a big player out of the locker room. I mean, we've seen it with Chicago when they exploded here about 3 weeks back. They went on a 5-6 game winning streak after Levine and the boys got in it. Now we know that Young and McMillan has had their words throughout the season. So I think they're gonna respond. No JC, no motherfucking problem. Honestly, I don't like the dude. Give me a little bit of more Bogdanovich. Give me a little bit of more Hunter. I think that simply the Cavaliers. I think they're a little bit soft. I'm not gonna lie to you. I watched that whole game last night, and that's my one knock on these boys. Outside the fact that they don't got a bench. I mean, they're real top heavy, which comes into factor in a back-to-back as well. When you had your three horses playing 30 plus minutes, and then of course LeVert went heavy too, and he's really all they got off the bench with Rubio not being in the lineup. I just look at the Cavs, man. I feel like they're a little bit soft. I think I could trust Atlanta here at the house. With the new coaching change, get Trae Young and Murray to attack Mitchell and Garland from a defensive perspective. So I believe they'll match them. And I think Capella down low can give problems to, Allen and Mobley. Mobley had a fucking outstanding game last night, like 31 point. I mean, he just put in work on Joker from an offensive perspective. Had nothing for him defensively, let's be honest. But offensively, he played probably the best game he's played in the NBA. And you still lose at the crib to Denver. I just don't really see where they have the help. I was on Cleveland last night. I expected Mitchell and Garland to have a better game. I didn't really like what I've seen out of them. But what it comes down to is I pretty much don't trust this team from the bench perspective. And I think they're actually a little bit soft to go into Atlanta. And I feel like they're going to get a game where you're going to get the best out of each and every player with the coaching change, because that's usually what happens. Man, give me the Hawks, man, full game. Trae going to have a game. He's been loading it up in the assist category too, so I'm not mad at anything prop-wise from assist perspective with Trae Young. But I think Murray, I like Deontay Hunter, and I think the bench overall will be a key at the crib. The role players play a lot better at the house. I expect to see that here. And look for the Cavaliers, who are very top-heavy, to die down late. So if you like Cleveland, I would go early. The Cavs are 1-4 straight up last 5 in Atlanta, 3-9 straight up as a dog this year. And November 21st, the Cavs beat them in Cleveland by 12. So it's kind of a get-right spot, get back at home, kind of how it's been going this season. Give me the Atlanta Hawks, the best number we can get.
We can get you money line at -110.
Bet it.
Hawks money line at -110. Very interesting.
And I'm not an Atlanta dude too, so like I said, it's not it's not very. But you cap it, you got to cap it, you got to bet what you cap, man. So yeah, I've kind of put the teams out of the names on the team is kind of just more of what I see. And hopefully Atlanta shows up. But yeah, I like the edge of the coaching, the new coaching. I think that gives them a boost in the locker room, Jim.
It will give a boost. It will give a boost, and I'm surprised that there's so many bets and so much action on Cleveland here. But clearly, the market's not moving. Usually, this would be an auto bet. New coach or dismissing a coach. I know Prenti's not a new coach, and it doesn't look like Prenti's going to get the chance. I mean, we'll see what happens. When Nate took the job, the Hawks caught fire. Remember?
Yeah, they did.
All right, let's roll on to the next.
They have the talent. My bad, Jim. But they have the talent. I don't think it's a good the fit with Murray and Trae. But this is one game. They definitely have the talent.
Let's move on to the next one on the board. And this is our live bet stream tonight. There are already 50 likes on the video, so shots will be flowing immediately. Miami Heat and Milwaukee Bucks. Now, for the Cavs game we just talked about, I'll be watching that Cavs game very closely because my live bet stream, my new show, Sunday Night Live will be
I've seen that.
Raptors at Cavs, and we're going to have that going. I'm going to try to do a double thing here because NHL and NBA, you can have both going on at the same time because of the way they break it up. It should work. So we're also going to have a Lightning at Penguins. That's Sunday night, and that will be my first adult beverages since the Super Bowl. So I'm excited to
Really?
get back on the sauce, man. Look at
That's
the smile.
dope. So
on
what's
my
that,
face.
like almost a month, right? Month and a half?
No, 2
No.
weeks, man. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Hey, I'll take
Super Bowl, you see how much I smoke? It feels like the Super Bowl was fucking a month ago. Oh, my fault. I haven't drank in a week, so I've had a couple wines or something, but that shit don't count.
No, that's what we're doing here. That's what we've decided. We're gonna. So I will only. We decided I only drink hard alcohol on the live streams. That's our new rule here. We've actually been doing that for a while here, but yeah, just wine only. If you want to drink anything at the house, you can drink a wine. But okay, but let's roll. Let's roll into our 7:30 p.m. Eastern game. Thank you, Bo Jackson. Thank you for thinking of me with the Kraken. The sweet Gasolina. Miami Heat, Milwaukee Bucks live right here. The stream starts at 7 p.m. starring Razor Sharp Picks and Dabra Cadabra. We're at Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Heat 32-27, 13-17 on the road. Bucks 41-17, 24-5 at home. Miami 3-2 in their 5 games before the break. Playing at a pace at 92.96 possessions a game. Very slow. Milwaukee 5-0. And they played at a slower pace. 100.31 possessions a game. We got Astute Chaos Parlay there. I'm going to copy and paste it. But let's take a look at the line movement here for this one. This one opened up with Milwaukee as 2.5-point favorites. That's moved to 1.5. Total-wise, this opened up at 220, and it's dropped to 219. But that 219 is quite juiced. Let's go over to the cash flow here on this one. Heat Bucks, 15,540 tickets in. The most bet game on today's board.
Yeah.
46% of the tickets are on the Heat and 90% of the cash. Big bets coming in on the Heat. 47% of tickets and 89% of the cash on the under. Big bets coming in on the under. So Antetokounmpo will figure out how long he's going to be out for at this point. But Bobby Portis, Jay Crowder are expected to play. Portis has been out since January 23rd with the knee injury, and Crowder hasn't played all year. Chris Middleton also will be back in the lineup. So Middleton will be back in the lineup. We're waiting on Pat Connaughton, but that's the situation. Kyle Lowry and that big dump is hopes to return from his knee injury by the end of February. Tyler Hero and Oladipo are off the injury report, and they are good to go. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Big bets coming in on the Heat. Move towards the Heat. Do you, my friend, trust the Heat?
I do not trust the Heat. I definitely don't trust the Heat. I think Milwaukee's really actually kind of loaded. Obviously, I would want Giannis out there. But I don't know. I just feel like this is Milwaukee's spot here. Haven't bet it yet. They beat them by 8. Already. Real recently, a couple weeks back. Milwaukee. So it's kind of just right back to the road. But I just don't trust Miami, man. I really don't. And with Bobby Portis coming back, I don't. He's been out for a little bit. Obviously, Jay Crowder are going to try to bring him in. I don't expect really much from him. You want Pat Connaughton out there though. But Drew Holiday's been playing, really well of late. I just think Milwaukee at the crib, man, with Giannis or without Giannis, I kind of have to really go that way. I just don't trust Miami. They're 0-4 ATS, last 4 against the team with a winning record. They just have not been. I know they turned the page a little bit. Could they come in there and say, okay, playoff atmosphere type of game here? The way I would look in this game simply is the under. I'm not a total bettor, but everything when I was looking at this has just stood out, said under on this basketball game. Obviously, with no Giannis, you miss a little bit from a defensive perspective, but I think it's offensively. You're taking out 30 points. If the Miami is going to show up, it's got to be from a defensive perspective. And Milwaukee has shown that they play defense. I think they also have an issue to scoring as well. I think this could just be a playoff atmosphere type of game. I lean Milwaukee here at the crib, probably first half as well, Jim. But I just don't have a good read on this Miami basketball team. So there's no way I'm standing in front of what Milwaukee has looked like the last month and a half of basketball, especially at the crib, especially off 9 days rest. And the only reason I'm not on Milwaukee is obviously because the Greek Freak ain't in the fucking lineup. And they do have some additions coming back. Bobby Portis is a big player. He hasn't played. How is he going? Is he going to be ready to rock and roll with the long layoff? You would expect him to be ready, but it could take a little bit for him to get going. So I'm off this game, but I'm not gonna be like I'm not high on Miami in this game like everyone else is.
I like that underlook quite a lot. I find it very difficult to believe that they're going to. I mean, what's Jay Crowder going to play? 8 minutes, so he's not an issue. But I'm sure he's going to play more as he moves forward. I'm not saying he's going to be an 8-minute guy, but and then Bobby Portis coming back in. Middleton. I wonder if they're vulnerable here. I wonder. I think I move on the under, but I do lean towards the Heat here.
Yeah. I mean, if the Heat show up, but it's just a matter. It's like these motherfuckers just don't really give a fuck. I haven't really seen them play. Like I said, I haven't really seen them care too much about this season so far. Jimmy's had his moments. Tyler's been playing well. Like you mentioned about Kyle Lowry, he's MIA. I think they're still looking for a point guard out there. Gabe Vincent is okay, and then you look after Bam, they have no fucking bigs. So Milwaukee overall, I know they don't have Giannis, but they still are too fucking big for these boys. I mean, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, look for him to have his way down low. So someone in the chat, Bo Jackson with the Lopez rebounds. Yeah, man, I think Lopez has a game here. I think Bobby Portis, if we get the Bobby Portis before injury, Bobby Portis, easy double-double and should have his way with the suspect front line after Bam. And Bam's not the biggest motherfucker either. So, I mean, he's talented, but he ain't the biggest body.
He's been so good this year. Imagine what this Heat team, I mean, what are the Heat sitting at, 32 and 27? Imagine if Bam wasn't there. I mean, I just he's been so crucial and healthy. And
but this game to me, Jim, though, comes down to perimeter defense. Simply, whoever's guarding the perimeter, whoever's catch hot, because obviously with Grayson Allen, Compton, and these boys, and they could catch fire from three, but then Miami's capable of the same. So whatever team locks in from the perimeter, from a defensive perspective, wins this basketball game. Give me Milwaukee at the house if I had to.
All right, let's move on to the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Charlotte Hornets 17 and 43, 8 and 25 on the road at the Minnesota Timberwolves, 31 and 30, 20 and 13 at home. Charlotte 2 and 3 over their past 5, playing at a fast pace, 104.9 possessions a game. Minnesota 2 and 3, playing at a pace of 102.10 possessions a game. Let's take a look at I had it up already. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Minnesota opening up at -7.5. They're now -6.5. Totals wise, it's opened up at 240. Now 241. Take a look at the cash flow here. 11,464 tickets in, 48% of the tickets and 71% of the cash on Minnesota, but market moving the other direction. 70% of the tickets and 67% of the cash is on the under. 70 and 67, but it's gone up a point. Hornets second worst in the Eastern Conference, and now we get to see LaMelo and Edwards. They seem to raise each other's game when they go up against each other. LaMelo beat out Edwards for that Rookie of the Year, of course, in 2021. And this Hornets team, what a mess! What a fucking mess! Like MJ just his continual effort to show how hard it is to win a championship. The guy's been doing this since his playing days, and now as an executive, just wants everybody to know how difficult it is to put together a championship looking basketball.
That's a good way to look at it, man. I just want this motherfucker. I never thought that's a good one. Look at it, Jim. I just want this motherfucker to get out of there. I mean, come on, man. It's like when he played for the Wizards. It's like, please, Mike, just go.
As a fan, I loved watching him with the Wizards, the 82 games and all that shit. I kind of, it's just.
I mean, yeah, you're right. That shit was like you didn't miss a basketball game, but there was times where you're just like, damn, this motherfucker. He was 40.
Yeah, I just what a competitor here, but just incapable of making roster decisions. Kwame Brown. Is Kwame still invited over to MJ's place for dinner?
And fucking who's Adam? Who's the fucking Morrison boy?
Oh God. Yeah, the Morrison.
Larry, yeah.
I love
Larry Bird, my fucking ass.
I love. I was in LA at a bar right outside UCLA for that game, and I was cheering for Gonzaga. Like a pompous dick, and then of course, I'll never forget Morrison crying on the floor there, and just everyone celebrating around me. And like, all right. Timberwolves return. That was before Gonzaga had ever shown anything. We were waiting and dreaming. Everybody was dreaming about this team in Spokane. Could they show the world how good they are? Please, God. Now they've done it. It's a little different. But so Timberwolves return from the break. And I don't know what they're going to give you down the stretch. They're 8th in the West, a half game out of 6th, a game and a half ahead of Utah. And Ant Edwards has played in every game this year, averaging 24.9 points per game. Obviously, D'Angelo Russell wanted the ball, and the Wolves want the ball in Anthony Edwards' hands. So they bring in a point guard who you don't want to shoot. Take it away for us here, Hornets, Timberwolves.
Yeah, man. This is a tough basketball game here. You look into it and you're like, man, this is Minnesota spot right here. They're 7-0 ATS after a straight up loss. Last 7. They've been pretty solid at the crib against the number as well. And they're simply a better team than the Hornets. But somehow, some way, these Hornets, bro, they play these boys, man. They beat them 5. They just beat them by 2 in November 25th, but they beat them 5 out of the last 6 times. Covered 5. They're 5-0-1 the last 6 meetings and beat them once again 5 out of the last 6 times. So is it time for the Wolves to smack these boys around? I mean, maybe, but I just look at it from a perspective of, do I really want to lay 6 with Minnesota? It's kind of like the feeling of last night when I laid 6 with Orlando. Thought I was really good because it gets up to 8, close at 8, and they win the game barely. I could see this exact fucking thing happening here. Do I think Minnesota is the side? Yes, but I don't trust this basketball team, especially still trying to inquire with the new additions that you touched on, and the way that the Hornets have they've not only just killed them trend wise and against the number, but they've just beat them outright. So I would expect Minnesota to get right here, but I'm not laying 6. Maybe a good prop game here because both teams probably should get off offensively.
I don't trust the Wolves at all. And the Wizards-Wolves game right before the break is the perfect indication of what the Wolves are like. I had a friend who, the rec player, loves 3-game NBA parlays just for fun, puts $100 on them and then sees if he can have a big night. And he had the Wolves, and I was like, don't do it, man. Don't put it in there. Like, you can't trust them. And, of course, Wizards come all the way back, but the Wolves had a 20-point lead, and Bet365 pays that out. So he cashed his parlay, even though
that's dope.
Wizards came all the way back. Joe Yurkovich looking at Rudy Gobert double as a parlay piece. Equanimus looking at Charlotte first quarter. Robert Franken looking at PJ Washington over 14.5 points. Mally Mal looking at PJ Washington over 2 threes. That Razor. Well, we'll see if Razor has that on his action. AOD says, Dutch, we love you. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 8 p.m. Eastern. Brooklyn Nets 34-24, 16-13 on the road at Chicago Bulls, 26-33, 16-13 at home. United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Brooklyn 2-3 over the past 5, playing at the pace of 95.3 possessions a game. Chicago 0-5, playing at the pace of 98.10 possessions a game. The good news is DeRozan feels good. Says he's ready to go. Let's take a look at the line history here. Bulls open up -1.5, and they move to 2.5. Totals wise, this opened up at 225. It's dropped down to 222. Look, we've made a lot of money, and I thank Dennis Garcia for this. We've made a lot of money backing Brooklyn, since the trades. But do we want them on the road is the big question. Let's see what the total – I wonder if Dennis is in the chat, if he could chime in here on this spot. He's probably studying women's curling at the moment. So if we could rip him off the Bond spiel, if we could take his attention off of the Bond spiel for a second. 12,483 tickets in, 47% of the tickets and 85% of the cash on the Bulls. Feels like sharp action on the Bulls. 72% of tickets and 79% of cash on the over. 72 and 79, and this total has dropped 3 points. So that's a confusing spot. Nets still sitting in 5th in the East. Their leading scorer is now Nick Claxton. So lots changed. Jacques Vaughn has signed the contract extension Tuesday. DeMar DeRozan participated non-contact practice Wednesday, said the hip is feeling better. Chicago's won 2 of 3 with Brooklyn and Levine. Oh, sorry, they've won 2 of the first 3 because they swept last year, and they've beaten Brooklyn 6 straight times, I believe. At least, or I think 6 straight times.
No,
is it 5?
No, Brooklyn beat them January 12th, 2022, and then they beat them recently too. So they've only. Yeah.
That's my bad. So, but Chicago's won 2 of 3 this year.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
yeah. So my bad. So they're trying to just win the season series again, not sweep it. Levine averaging 26.7 points per game against the Brooklyn Nets this season. Ron Lofton looking at Bridges over 28.5 points. Johnny Gunn says he loves this under. Dan Kelly looking at first quarter Nets money line says like Boston last night. Does that work though, Dan? Do we consider the Nets a good basketball team based on their record? Because would they have this record if they didn't have, Kyrie and KD for half of it? Does that still work? I'm curious.
KD and Kyrie.
Because Dan Kelly gave us a great angle with the first game out of the break, a good road team, a good road team going, is winning the first quarter at a very high number in his database. And Dan says, thought of that. He says, I still like it. Okay. Take it away for us here, Dutchie. Brooklyn Nets, Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, man. Excuse me. I really like Chicago here. That's why I didn't mean to have to correct you, dude. But I was just looking like I would have scared me a little bit if they beat them that many times in a row. But yeah, Brooklyn did, as our boy Troy in the chat says, this Brooklyn team did beat Chicago. All right. And it was right after the trade. That's a 3-point dog. They beat them outright. And I didn't see that coming because Chicago's kind of had their way with them. It was right after bringing in all the new acquisitions and they win outright. So surprising to me. The new trades, they will have no Ben Simmons tonight. The new additions, they're nice, man. They got a nice little roster, especially from a defensive perspective. But to me, they're not a team yet. They're still, they did have a break, and I'm sure they've, figured some things out too. But these boys were tired. They wanted a break from basketball as well. So I don't believe they were just in the gym 9 fucking days straight on this when everyone else was on vacay mode. I'm sure they are, did work on some things, but this is still a brand new basketball game team, and they don't have a fucking point guard. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie's the point. That's pretty much it because obviously Ben Simmons isn't playing, and when is he really playing of late anyways when he's on the fucking basketball court? So, I think Chicago overlooked it, went in there with the fact of, wow, they don't got KD, they don't got Kyrie. Hey, boom, we're going to run these boys out the fucking gym. Cam Thomas, I believe, had 40 fucking plus points and lit them up. I don't think that happens in Chicago. Chicago has lost 6 straight fucking basketball games. Long break to think about that. They're going to come out and play, I believe, some of their best basketball. I look for Big Vooch to be effective down low. I look for Levine to attack offensively, and DeRozan, who's healthy back, is good news as well. But most importantly, defensively, lock down that 3. Don't let Joe Harris get hot like we've seen. Don't let Cam Thomas drop fucking 40 and contain Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't see how Brooklyn goes in there and beats them. They are 2-5. The Nets are 2-5 straight up. Last 7 on the road with whoever's on the fucking basketball court. And Chicago, say what you will about them of late. They're 9-4 and 1 ATS last 14 at the crib. They at least handle business against the number at the house. Give me the Bulls full game. It's good money.
-2 at -108 for Dutch. I want to join you on this look on the Bulls. Troy Torrance says Levine should camp out on the wing, catch and shoot, or catch and drive. Says he cannot handle the ball. Shogun Soup says Levine gonna hoop. Shogun, by the way, Shogun, Chicago native, says I live in Chicago, born and raised. I religiously don't believe in betting Chicago teams. I hate Chicago sports. But says this is definitely a Bull spot. But says I can't.
I like that second part or the last part. He must have not been around when Jordan was hooping. I mean, that's good money all day.
That was good money. Yeah. All right, and then Mr. Always Profit in the house. Great to have you.
Smoking on that first class funk, my guy. First class funk. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Mr. Always Profit. I'd have to go over it again. I don't. Obviously, I was on Wichita State. I screwed up though. I took the money line first half instead of the +1. Of course, there's a 40-40 at the half. That was. I didn't want to get into it. All right. Dutch on Bulls -2. I'm very interested in joining. Let's move on and head west. Footprint Center, Phoenix, Arizona, 10 p.m. Eastern. Oklahoma City Thunder, 28-30, 11-18 on the road. At the Suns, 32-28, 20-10 at home. OKC 3-2 over their past 5, playing the pace of 102.07 possessions a game. Phoenix 3-2, playing the pace of 100.7 possessions a game. Oklahoma City coming in off the second half of a back-to-back after that tough 120-119 loss at Utah last night. Shea goes for 39, 8, and 7. Had a chance to win it too.
Shout out to Wham and the boys and Ski. They were all over Shea yesterday.
Yeah, he's just a monster. Makes us very proud. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have Phoenix opening up at -7.5. They're down to 6.5, a 1-point drop. Take a look at the total here. This total opened up at 231.5. It's dropped a half point to 231. Take a look at the cash flow for this one. 10,852 tickets in. And there's a lot of believers in the Thunder here to bounce back after a tough game in elevation. 57% of the tickets are on OKC and 90% of the cash. Then 25% of the tickets and 77% of the cash on the under, 25 and 77. That it's so frustrating that going back to that Memphis Wichita spot, because I was heads up against CAB, but because I took the fucking money line, when CAB didn't win, I still didn't win. And I was like, I mean, I pushed, but still, like, I was like, don't worry, one of us will win. But no, I fucked that up. Okay, so Phoenix won 11-15 before the break. Booker healthy, and everybody excited about when KD will be on the court. Won't be tonight. So any other important notes? Not really. Let's get to work here. And we know that he's close. It could be Sunday against Milwaukee, but it'll probably be the next Wednesday against Charlotte. We will see when KD shows up. Oklahoma City Thunder, Phoenix Suns. Take it away for us. Dutch, floor is yours.
Yeah, man, I'm liking the Suns here. I think OKC, they tired, man. They tired. They blew that fucking game. Say what you will. They was up 9 in the fourth quarter, took it to overtime. Elevation, you go to Utah, short travel to Arizona, but still, man, first game back after a 9-game break. I know they got some young legs, but I don't think they're going to be one playing in the fourth quarter against the Phoenix team that actually, has had 9 days to think about, 10 days, to think about getting that ass whooped against the Clippers. They lost by 19 the last time they was on the basketball court. And Jimmy said, they won 14 out of won 10 out of the last 14 basketball games, I believe it was. So they got used to winning and winning, and have that taste in their mouth. I think CP3 and these boys book DA. It's going to be too much for OKC. I think DA will eat down low, especially if they have a problem with bigs. This is just a good spot here for Phoenix. Well-rested team. Go in and just really put it on a team who put it on them recently. Beat them by 21 points in OKC. Come on, man. You were a Phoenix Suns team losing in OKC by 21. Hey, if we forgot about it, these motherfuckers definitely didn't. They're gonna put it on a tired OKC team. You wanna get cute, bet OKC early. Okay, go ahead. They will die down. Shea can do his thing either way. Book DA. And CP3 going to run the shit, man. They're going to eat. Give me the best number we can get full game here. And the number's going down. So, shit, I might even find a 6 a little late, but we'll make it official for show purposes.
We can get you a 6. Let's see what the juice will be, though. It's going to be a little over -110. Let's see how much it will be here very quickly.
And the Suns are also 6-1, against the number last 7 again after a straight-up loss. I mean, it's just a good spot here. And another stat, that stood out to me here. As I mentioned, it was a long basketball game, OT in Utah elevation. OKC against us 3-12-1 last 16 when the starting 5 combined for more than 160 minutes or more in a back-to-back situation. So I like that stat as well. The Suns are 4-0 ATS last 4 after a loss. I just look at the crib. I just look for Phoenix to really put it on OKC tonight.
Do you want the Suns -6 at -119, or do you want them 6.5 at -109?
Yeah,
or -108.
We'll do the 119.
All right, -6.
I'll pay a little bit to keep the hooker the fuck away from me.
-6 at -119 for Dutch on the Phoenix Suns. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. We have 2 spots left.
You like the Thunder there? My bad, Jim. You like the Thunder there?
No, I worry about the wear and tear of a back-to-back after a break. But I'm nervous. I wouldn't want to go. All the big bets coming in on Thunder market moving towards the Thunder. Now, maybe you've waited to the perfect time, because if the Thunder win by 7, you have to think that. Sorry, I mean, if the Suns win by 7, you have to think that all the sharps would have cashed, and so will you have. Right. So maybe you've waited to the exact perfect spot, but I I don't like going against the bigger bets, although look, it hasn't been helping so far this year very much. So, but there's still time to turn it around, and there's still time to add action here. And this one's interesting. 10 p.m. Eastern. Houston Rockets 13-45, 5-25 on the road at Golden State Warriors, 29, 22-7 at home. Chase Center in San Francisco, California. I guess they're 29-30 now. I imagine that. I don't think I put this together before the game ended. I'm certain I did. So, Houston playing at the pace of 100.2 possessions a game in the 5 games before the break. Warriors are 1-4 over the past 5, playing at the pace of 100.80 possessions a game. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have the Rockets opening up at plus 9.5. They're now plus 10.5. Total wise, opening up at 233.5. It's dropped to 231.5. And cash wise, 6,649 tickets in. 54% of the tickets and 52% of the cash on the Rockets. Then 40% of the tickets and 76% of cash on the under. And the market has moved quite quickly towards that under. There's my guy, C. James in the house. Warriors on the second half of back-to-back after losing 124-111 at the Lakers last night. No Wiggins, no Curry, amongst others. KPJ out on the other side with that toe injury. No Eric Gordon, no John Wall, no Danny Green. They've all been traded. And Ty Washington Jr. going to get his first start of the year. Take it away for us here. Rockets, Warriors.
Yeah, man. This is the one game I really don't got much for you. I mean, I don't see how after, losing in LA, you lose in LA too. Like, it's just a little different, so by double digits, but it was kind of expected yesterday when was the last time we seen the Lakers favored by that much, especially against the Golden State Warriors team, but the roster is just not what it is right now, with no Wiggins, no Steph. But yeah, I would look for Golden State early. If you want to bet this basketball game, I'll look for Jordan Poole to just simply get wet. Really, I think he'll have a lot of opportunity all game long. So I won't be surprised if he drops 35 tonight. But yeah, I would look at the Warriors first quarter, first half here if you do like Golden State.
Do you agree with the market move towards the under?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything on that. I don't see defense being played in this game. The Warriors from realistically from a guard perspective, they don't wow me whatsoever from defensively at all. So I guess and really inside, I guess you could say Draymond and Looney out. Draymond out there with Looney, they could bring a little bit of defense, but overall, I don't like them defensively, especially guard from the perimeter. And Houston can't stop a fucking nosebleed. So I guess because maybe Golden State could die down late, being tired and slow it down and just get out, at the crib with a W. Maybe I could see that, but no, I don't see defense in this basketball game. I see Jordan Poole getting off, and I see the Warriors coming out early and putting it on a team that they are better than, even with the B squad.
LJ from H-Town says Warriors first half easy money at home, and he knows this Rockets team inside and out.
Yeah, I might look at that a little bit more. To be honest with you, there's a lot of games, I didn't really look into this game too much, just briefly, and then your breakdown right there. But yeah, this first quarter stands out to me a little bit. I'll look into it a little more, and if I do make it official, I'll tag you.
It does appeal to me as well. That was a real no-show last night. And now they get to get right back on the floor in front of their own fans. I think
short flight. LA to the Bay. Come on now. And like I said, you lose to LA, it kind of sits with you a little bit.
Yeah, because it was like a public embarrassment.
Right.
I think that's a very interesting look. Warriors early. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on it, but let's go into the final game here on the board. Sacramento Kings at the LA Clippers. Take a look here. We have the Clippers opening up at -6.5 at -105. They're now -6.5, -111. 6 cent move towards them. Totals wise is opened up at 232.5 and is shot all the way up to 237.5. We've gone up 5 points. Kings on the let's take a look at the cash for this one. 5,834 tickets, least bet game on the board. 64% of tickets and 87% of cash is on the Clippers, and the market's not moving. Then 48% of the tickets and 63% of the cash is on the over. There's still people trying to get underneath it for some reason. Wham Bam is locked in Shea over 30.5 points as well. Kings on the second half of back-to-back after winning 133-116 at home last night over the Blazers. And the Clippers bring in Russell Westbrook. So going to be very fun watching this. See if it works. 33-28. The Clippers are fourth in the West, just behind the Sacramento Kings. Sabonis, what a monster. Leading the league in rebounds at 12.4 a game. 18 points, 18 boards, and 10 assists last night. De'Aaron Fox went for 31. And Malik Monk had missed 2 games before the All-Star break with an ankle injury. He came back. He scored 15 in 21 minutes. But the Kings are just 7-7 since that 6-game winning streak. Joe Yurkovich says he is on the Clippers. Wham Bam says, does Russ have a triple-double in him tonight? Off the rip. Cheshire says that Sabonis triple-double was plus 550 last night. Take it away for us here, Dutchie. Final game on the board. Fresh Fridays here with Dutch Boy Fresh, Kings, Clippers.
Yeah, man. Shout out to our guy, Wham Bam. Hey, I'm seeing it, man. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the triple-double. Fuck around and got a triple-double. It's crazy what Russ did. Go straight to the other locker room. But yeah, man, you know it's gonna be nice and sweet early. It always is. It always is with the new edition. Everybody happy. I mean, and don't get it twisted. This is a better situation for Russ. Because why? Lou already, Lou has already came out and said, Ty Lue, that they're gonna get the ball. I mean, he's starting tonight. He didn't even fucking start for the bum ass Lakers. You know, a team that was underachieving, way under 500. They didn't start him. I kept how they're not starting Russ, especially when LBJ don't play. You know, say what you will about the motherfucker, but come on, man. You got him start. Now he's starting. The ball will be in his hand. If you watch the LA Clippers, they needed a point guard all along. So the key is don't be think first, score first, Russ. Be assist, rebound, Russ. And if he plays with that mentality and has 10 to 12 assists, 8 to 12 rebounds a game, and 15 points, this is going to look real nice until it really counts. Because we know when the playoff time comes, we'll see if Kawhi still got what he got, and obviously, Russ and PG still got a little bit to show when it really counts. So, but let's talk about right fucking now. It's going to be good money. I like the Clippers here, and most importantly, they got smacked the fuck around by Sacramento in LA in December 3rd by 27 points. 27 fucking points. They remember that. So now they coming right back. You get the Sacramento Kings feeling all happy, beating the B squad of Portland, who traveled in at night, 2 hours before pregame, and fucked around damn near the whole game and then blew them away late. Yeah, man, I think the Clippers are going to really clip them tonight. And I think that, people are a little suspect laying numbers with LA right here. But I believe Russ giving him that juice right now. He's a motivator. He is a leader. If he makes the right decisions on the basketball court, he's going to make the LA Clippers an awful better team, and he will be a hell of a lot better than he was in LA. I wouldn't be mad at any Russ props tonight because all of them, they're all going to look for him, and he's going to look to be unselfish early because he still obviously thinks he's offensively talented and can beat you anytime off the first step, but he's going to look to share the ball. Like I said, it's going to be cool by fucking y'all early. And take advantage of it tonight. Give me the best number on the Clippers. And most importantly, they got smacked the fuck around by 27 December 3rd in LA against this team. And Sacramento is 0-4 against the number after a straight up win. So give me the Clippers full game. I do believe I'm not worried about tiring out or nothing. I think the Clippers are just going to smack these boys.
We can get you -6.5 at -110. Interestingly enough, while you were speaking, Pinnacle moved it to 7. So Pinnacle has moved it to 7. I'm sure the other books will follow suit. When there's as much money that's on the Clippers, you want to see a sign from the books that there's some concern, and they've given it -6.5 and -110. Can I get a 108? No, because Heritage has moved it to 7. Bet365 just moved it to 7. So it's on its way. The 6.5s over at Bookmaker and BetChris are at -115. We can still get that -110. Mark Nick in the house. All right. So that is our NBA breakdown. Let's review Dutch's action here and put a bow on this and get it ready for the weekend. God, I'm gonna need that cash tonight. Man. My girl knows I'm just gonna be downstairs. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, you need a good night. We're gonna get it tonight, man. Let's get this NBA. I'm laughing at North Ender talking Clippers are the second best team in LA. Come on, man. Come on, man. No fucking way. I don't believe that.
Let's review all Dutch action. He's got the Atlanta Hawks on the money line, -110. Dan Kelly gave us a Cleveland team total over 113. He also Dan Kelly talked about the sample size play. Teams playing the second of a back-to-back immediately after the break versus a team playing its first game after the break are 4-1 against the spread in the second quarter. And the sample size is small since 2014, obviously. But if that was the case, that the team in their second of a back-to-back immediately after the break steps up in the second quarter, I was thinking that the Cleveland team total first half would then be the look, and the Hawks' legs will be much fresher in the second half of the basketball game. So that's sort of what I'm thinking after hearing all of the breakdowns, is that first half team total over. I want the under in the Heat Bucks game, and I have interest in the Heat. Right now, it'll just be interest. Hornets, Wolves, we stayed off. Dutch is on the Bulls -2 at -108, and I'm joining them. Dutch is on the Suns -6 at -119. And I have some interest in that Rockets Warriors under, but then listening, I think that LJ might be on one with the Warriors early in this one. I really do. They get right back on the court. Usually they would not care that the Rockets are playing, but here you just lost badly against LA and now you're at home. I think that's a really good look. I'm very close to moving on that first quarter and first half with you on the Warriors. LJ, Dutch is on the Clip Show -6.5 at -110, and that is out. And then below this, so it goes all my NBA Jam team breakdowns. Taking this shit seriously, dude. I haven't played video games in 15 years. If you come over to the spot, you know what's going down. Dutch, thank you, man. So great rolling with you. Great to see you in those clips for the video that we put out yesterday. It's just fun getting a chance to hang with you, my man. Pubapalooza 2 popping off in a month. Pubapalooza popping off. And man, I can't wait. There's a couple of very exciting things that aren't on that. One is the Sunday night Delusional Eats infused meal. That's right after Ritama, right before the comedy show. And also Jose One Hole Two Fingers Sweet Tea Tits Bouquet is hosting the slap contest at the strip club. So that's Friday night is the slap contest at the strip club. And that doesn't start till about 1:30 in the morning. And then we're supposed to have cornhole Saturday at noon. We're not sure what to do with it now because I don't think anyone's leaving that strip club till 4:30 in the morning. So how many people are going to be ready for cornhole at 11:30 in the morning?
Nasty Nate will be. Nasty Nate will be.
That'll be the loneliest shit, man. Nasty Nate like walking around the fucking cornhole course, waiting for his buddies. We're all sleeping. Excellent work, Dutch. Take it to the rack, my man. Get that cash. Stacks on stacks, my man. Thank you for hanging with us. Follow Dutch on Twitter at DutchBoyFresh. Dutchy, my man. Any last words for the Capper supporting the show?
I appreciate the love, man. It's good to be back with you, Jim. Shout out to your boy too. What was his name? Who did the video?
Garth Daisy.
Yeah, man. Shout out to him. It was a cool little vibe. Peeped that last night. It was good times, man. I'd like to do it again, round 2. We'll see. But yeah, always good to break bread, man, with you, my man, in the chat as well. Now let's hit him straight over the motherfucking head. Y'all stay fresh.
There he is, Dutch boy, Fresh Millsy joining us. LJ saying we need you in San Antonio, Dutch. We do, man. I can't wait to get there. I can't fucking wait to get there. I can't wait. Hopefully, I make a few $100 off of Mr. Gokster and NBA Jam before we head out. But I can't wait. All right, let's review all action. In NHL, I'm on Ottawa first period at +165. Ottawa, Carolina, under 6.5. Bobano is on Stutzla over 2.5 shots, -108. Bobano is on Sammy Reinhart over 2.5 shots at -141. I'm on the Panthers -1, -130. Bobano is on the Habs +145. Anderson over 2.5 shots and Anderson 1 point. The shots is +125. The points +128. I'm on the under 6.5 at -120. I would just like to see some of these line moves now. So Panthers is up to -200 and +120. Okay, I like that. The Habs total has not changed. The Hurricanes total has not changed. Islanders sitting at minus 130 and plus 190 now. It had moved to minus 145 at a couple books. They were saying in the chat. Ron Crawford, NHL spreadsheet play the days Toronto regulation. I'm going to be on Minnesota first period. Bobano as shot props. Hartman over 2.5 shots and 1 point. The 2.5 shots and the 1 point. Separate bets are both at plus 120. He's on Eriksson Ek over 2.5 shots at minus 120. And Nylander over 3.5 shots at plus 105. I'm on the Islanders minus 1. I got plus 131. It'd be about plus 126 now, probably. At the minus 130 plus 190. Bobano's on the over 5.5 in Kings Islanders. Bobano's on the over 5.5 in Colorado Winnipeg. He's on Scheifele over 2.5 shots. Morrissey over 2.5 shots. I'm off that one. DC Capper rolling nice right now. He's on Nevada minus 3. He's going up against against Bobano, who's on Fresno State. And I was thinking about moving on Fresno State, but that does make me nervous that DC Capper on the other side. DC Capper also on Arkansas State, UL Monroe over. Bobano's on Seton Hall plus 1.5. He's on Siena plus 3 in the over 134. He's on Fairfield plus 2 in the over 124. I'm on Fairfield, and I'm thinking of going on the under. We finally pulled Sky Dragon away from the Bonspiel. Curling. So I'm imagining that you are on the Brooklyn Nets then again tonight. I imagine you are on the Brooklyn Nets again tonight. The Don in the house. He's on Golden State first half and Clippers first half. Then we have Bobano on the over 133.5 in Richmond VCU. Then I want Richmond, but I've got to go over the notes that Ricky Patel was telling us about how much energy Richmond expended on that victory over St. Louis, fighting for their coach who's in the hospital, who isn't with them this year. I need to spend a little bit more time on that. And again, for Dwayne and anybody in the Richmond area, La Possum is the restaurant in Richmond, Virginia, and I'm serious. Like I was over 10 years ago I was there, and I still the two restaurants like in those areas sort of that I can't stop thinking about and I haven't been to in 10 years is one in Richmond, one in Baltimore, La Possum in Richmond, Virginia, and then Salt in Charm City in Baltimore. If you get a chance to go to either of those restaurants, the La Possum's cooler, but Salt was fucking dope. Then I'm going to be on ODU. Bobano's on the over 149 in Marshall ODU. I'm looking at Lipscomb first half. Bobano's on the over 147.5. I'm interested in Eastern Kentucky. Bobano is on the over 139.5 in Seattle Grand Canyon. I want in. I'm also interested in the Seattle team total over. I wonder if I focus just on the first half. It is seniors night in Grand Canyon. It's going to take more time. And Sky Dragon says, P.S. we want Brooklyn. Oh, Salt is no more, Billy says. Salt is gone? Damn. That place was so dope, man. Salt's gone in Baltimore? Oh, new restaurant planned in former Salt Tavern. Damn, that's a Butcher's Hill neighborhood. Damn. All right. Well, we still have La Possum. Back to this here. Bobano's on Southern Alabama plus 4.5 and the over 146.5. Ron Crawford gave a spreadsheet play today on South Alabama. I want to join him. I'm also going to move on Air Force. Fresno State plus 3.5 and minus 110 is Bobano's look. And I wanted to be on that with them. It's just that hearing DC Capper on Nevada minus 3, it's just going to mean more time for me to focus on that. And then that is our show. So Dwayne Saminsky, I hope you're still listening. La Possum, book it now. Hotspot, bring the peyote. Billy Freak says McCong in Richmond is dope too if you are a craft beer fan. I don't want to head down in that area, man. I miss that area. The whole idea of coming back from Costa Rica was we were going to be, driving to all these spots. And of course, you have a kid and there's pandemic. And then the next thing you know, you have another kid. What the fuck am I doing now? I go downstairs in the dark, watch sports. I see my producer backstage. I'd like to see his face, if that's okay. He's in the dark. But is he okay? He's gonna give it a second. Let's get the vibe up in here. Let's get a one whole bouquet to put a bow on this blitz. Mally Mal looking at the Kings over. Yes, Mekong is a Vietnamese restaurant, Jack. You didn't notice it. Oh no, Sky Dragon stream. He said my stream is so far behind. I didn't notice. Okay. And AOD saying Mekong is dope. So we'll get Jose to come up here and put a bow on this show. But thank you guys all so much for supporting us. There he is, Jose, our host of Slapfest and many other things when we're hanging out together.
What do you think I'm going to be doing as the host? Do you think I'm going to be like behind the DJ set? I'm just going to be, I'm right there announcing the fights for everyone on the stream too.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, I thought you wanted me to like have a whole setup as a DJ with the speakers and everything. I didn't know. I was a little concerned.
No, we don't need that shit. No. We just want breakdowns on breast size. That's about it.
I'll get studying. I am a former Pink employee, Victoria's Secret, so shout out to me. So I'll ask. I'll do the scouting reports.
That would be great, and we'd like visual accompaniment to your breakdowns.
They'll be there. I promise. You'll see them. I mean, but I keep forgetting that it's not boxing. It's just straight
slapping. It's gonna be horrifying. Like I don't think it's not like that shit. It's not arousing.
No. It's definitely a choice by them. Like I said, sometimes we don't have control of what the strip clubs do. We show up when the events are there.
Yeah, they just know we'll roll with them.
Exactly. Are you gonna go up to maybe your favorite dancer? Because I'm sure they don't like to be called strippers. Your favorite dancer, you're going to tell them, you got to get them right here. You got to use this and go. Is that what you're going to do?
No, I'm going to be the cut man. I'm going to be in the corner here for these beautiful women. I'm going to be their cut man. I'm going to have makeup. I'm going to cover up the whatever marks need to be covered up. And that's my plan. That's to stay aroused.
It's absolutely staying aroused will be difficult. So
it will be hard.
You're an old man now, Jim. You're referencing restaurants that aren't even existing anymore. That's how old of a man you are now.
Yeah, it's all facts here, man. 43 years of age. What's aging me? My action is aging me very quickly. Jose, last year I lost. I felt great, but this year I'm aging quickly.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm going to start aging quickly here soon in the next couple of weeks. It'll be fun. Baseball season cometh. It'll be a lot of fun. I don't think I'll be making any futures this year, actually, but it'll be a lot. Yeah, I just think last year I kind of got bogged down in the future, so that didn't help. I do have, obviously, my favorite teams that I'll be betting on, like the Tampa Bay Rays. If I say this in hushed tones, this is one of the best Yankees teams in a while, so they might be a little good this year. And obviously the Astros are good and all that stuff. But I also, if we're talking just random baseball things, I'm kind of surprised to see the Padres at plus money to win the division. I just think the Dodgers take that step back before going all in for Ohtani next year. So.
Yeah, I can't. I'm gonna make some moves here. I've been sitting with. I still haven't bet the futures yet, but I've got everything set up to attack. I want the Red Sox win total to keep going down because I'm going to take the over. I do not. Everybody's hating on them enormously, and they're not going to be as bad as people make them out to be.
Yep.
That's one thing I believe, and I do not think the Yankees are going to be as good as people make them out to be. I think they're going to have injury issues.
So. I'd hate to see it. I can't forecast, or we can't forecast injury issues. So I just assume everyone's healthy. Jimmy's on the negative side of injuries, and I'm on the positive side of injuries. We illustrated that with the Ohtani bet, and we'll see what happens going forward as well. Same with, I guess, Tiger Woods and his fucking half leg, but
old half leg. That's what we call him.
It used to be 3 legs.
I've got to get to Ella here very quickly.
I have to do an interview in 45 minutes.
I'm gonna bring my computer while she's playing so that I can get my action in. But I'm not gonna make them right now. I'm not gonna rush anything here. I'm not gonna be panicking. I'm gonna stay calm, very calm. I'm gonna go to get Ella, and then I'm gonna say, Ella, go play, and then I'm gonna work. That's my plan. My big plan.
Tell Ella. Make sure to tell Ella that Pimp Slack play of the day is the Winnipeg Jets as well. So
I'm not gonna talk about pimps with my 5-year-old daughter. So I will tell her that there's a I'm not going to.
She'll figure it out eventually.
She'll watch the show.
Like South Park. She'll watch Butters. She'll learn bottom bitches and stuff like that. Yeah.
We're not at South Park yet. No, not at South Park yet.
At what age did you start introducing your child to South Park?
I think that it's key to not say you can't watch this.
That's true. That's why I started watching Viva La Bam.
Exactly. It'll pique their interest. So, you got to work it right.
Yes, there's your parent tip of the day from a child. Don't tell your child not to do something because it makes them want to do it so much more. Why do you think I have sweet tea tits? Why do you think I don't work out?
Well, I don't have those answers. I don't have any.
Well, my parents tell me to. Don't drench sweet tea all over your tits. I say, no, I want sweet tea on my tits. We go from there.
All right. That's it for us. That's it for us. We should have closed right when you screamed, I want sweet tea on my tits. Jose, can you please let us into the future? Shout out to all the cappers supporting the show. Thank you guys so much. Pimp Slot Play today is on the Winnipeg Jets. Interesting. Pimp Slot Play today. Jarek White, Mike M, Sky Dragon, Cashman, Bo Jackson, Millsy, Billy Friedrich, Lucky Lefty. Thank you guys. A, Yo, D, Jack Rosenblatt, Mikey M, Millsy, Mally Mal. Thank you guys so much. North Ender, the Don, Tori Coker, LJ, Nasty Nate, Cheshire Cat. Thank you guys so much for your support. Alfred, Joe Yurkovich, Rez Mob. Thank you guys. Mark, Nick, Coin, Richie Vegas, Equinimus. Take us home, Jose. Take us into the promised land, and please let us into the future. And please bless my action here. This is a big time of year where I need to have a lot of money, and my bankroll took it just a stomp on the larynx. So bless my picks. First, give me a blessing, and then let us into the future.
Okay, let's everyone say a quick prayer for Jimmy. Let's say your Hail Marys to whatever Lord God you pray to. If it's 3 or if it's 1 or it's many, we have to pray to the gambling gods today. And we need winners, especially with this fucking shit sport of basketball. We need winners. We need these 19, 18, 20-year-olds to fucking hit their shots. And we need these old fucking NBA players to decide they actually give a fuck about the product and our bets this evening. But most importantly, Jim, I have my eyes closed too. Your eyes better be closed still too.
Okay.
Most importantly, if you don't sign up for Pubblepalooza and those fucking events, you do not exist in my head. So sign up for the damn event. There's Pubblepalooza. And particularly, sign up for the Par 3 tournament. And again, reminder, the UFC signups end on Monday. So sign up and fucking bless these picks. I now have to open my eyes to finish the show. But let's let you, everyone, and let's get that fucking sweet tea.